Keep it real. Big John Steel. Tell me how you feel. Convince me where the top go. Just keep it real. Big John Steel. Tell me how you feel. Convince me where the top go. Jesus is king. Big John Steel. Jesus is king. Big John Steel. Bro, you don't make any sense. Slow down a second, it's making you tense. When I be talking, just don't interrupt. I say the truth, you get salty for what? Give me an argument, not an assertion. I'm almost convinced that you're not a real person. Why are you galloping? What do you gish? Topic to topic, you flop like a fish. Say what you're meaning while being concise. Still got my taco, I ain't leaving Christ. Linda, just listen, get wrecked by a Christian. I think you might have a special condition. I debate all of you Muslim and atheists, witches and wizards and new ages. I roll with Jesus, you still get defeated. You won't change my mind even if you repeat it. Just keep it real. Big John Steel. Tell me how you feel. Convince me when the top go. Just keep it real.
Okay.
Tell me how you feel. Convince me when the top go. Jesus is king. Big John Steel. Jesus is king. Big John Steel. Give me some logic, I just wanna know. Why you so toxic, bro? I'm on a roll. You wanna troll me, I'm shutting you down. I be too busy to suffer a clown. Say that you hold a position.
What a time to start the live. Nappy's crawling around on the floor.
I just move on if you come in that faith. Don't say that I mean, I say what I mean. I'm showing love, pull you away from the beef. You run away, you afraid or you weak. Bro, I don't play, I can make them retreat. You choose a deceit, ain't making me nervous. For those that I reach, I've been living my purpose. This ain't at all about the money. Money. Trying to lift up the soul of his gummits. Real. Big John Steel. Tell me how you feel. Convince me where the top go. Just keep it real. Big John Steel. Tell me how you feel. Convince me where the top go. Jesus is king. Big John Steel. Jesus is king. Big John Steel.
Another day, another dollar, ladies and gentlemen. Time to get back at it. Time to take out these heathens, these Muslims, these atheists. Try to take them down. Do what we gotta do. Oh, we're always making improvements. Hopefully the audio sounds good. I fixed some audio things last night. Every time I do that, there's tech problems. That's why we named our new podcast Technical Problems, which you guys should be checking out. It's got me and Abby where we just talk about life. We got our second episode posted right now. So that is ready to go. But I got Abby her own channel now. Now I can mute her. Get rid of her.
You would never.
Look at that. Now you can't hear her. You can hear you, but no one else can hear you.
Jesus is king.
And then we just bring her back. Bring her back. Bring her back like a bad back and a bad attitude.
I don't have a bad attitude.
No, I said bring you back like a bad back and a bad attitude. You can hear her yelling through my...
You can't silence me.
Oh, I could do whatever I want. I could silence you if I wanted. I'm just choosing not to. I do it the old-fashioned way. The biblical way. Smash the like button, guys. Share the live. Do the things that you need to do to get out to the people we need to get out to. Today, we're going to be asking you guys what topic we should be doing. So here's the options we're going to give you. Abby, you ready? We're going to do atheists, Muslims. So atheist, Muslim, Christian. And what I mean is we'll just say Christianity is true. So atheist, Muslim, Christian. Kirk. How many can you add? As many as you want?
I think as many as I want.
Kirk. Abortion.
Oh, no, only 4.
Dang. Okay, we'll do those 4 then. What were the 4?
Atheist, Muslim, Christianity, Charlie Kirk.
Based. You mean rich people get to vote the topic? That is also true. That is also true. We believe in capitalism over here. We believe in capitalism. Vote with your wallet. I've always been that's actually something I've always believed my entire life. Vote with your wallet. If you want things to change, that's how you vote. Buy the things that you want to see in the world. Don't buy the things you don't want to see in the world. And that's how you see change. It really is. I'm a big proponent of that. I may need a hoodie. It's kind of cold in here. If I vote to change the topic, I can't spend super chats for funny comments. So it's on someone else. That's up to you guys. It's up to you guys what you do with your money. It's your money.
The funny comments
your money.
are peak.
Funny comments are peak. Funny comments are peak. Kirk's get views, but it's generally boring. It's all the same arguments, nothing substantial. Let's be honest. All the arguments are pretty boring these days. Once you've been doing this as long as I've been doing it, it's pretty much the same stuff on repeat. And then when something new comes up, then you got cooked. It's like a lose-lose situation. Either you're doing the boring stuff or something new comes up that you've never seen before and it's exciting and it's new, but then you get cooked because you don't know it. It's new. And it's like, oh, they got him. They got him because he doesn't know that specific topic. You got him. But that's the world of debate.
All right. We are at atheist for 40%.
Atheist at 40%. We haven't done atheist in a while. You know what? We're going to do atheist. I get it's going to be just as boring. I guarantee it, but we'll do
But
atheist.
sometimes you get like crazies. That's fun.
The crazies can be fun, yeah. They're the crazies.
Atheist is such a wide topic range because they can come up with anything.
Yeah, they just make shit up.
Clickety clacketing.
Clickety clackety, clickety clackety, clickety clickety clack. A clickety clack, a clickety clack, and a click click clickety clack. A click click clackety click 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 clickety click click clickety clack. All right, hold on. Let's change that.
Yeah, Brian says atheist is wild, almost as bad as New Age. That's the same thing. New Age is fun too because then you really get the crazies.
Yeah, but they're so few and far between. That's the problem with the New Age, is that they're so few and far between that you end up with like a dead queue for like a long time.
Yeah, I reminded him about the emojis. Striker.
Yeah, I didn't work this weekend. I took the weekend. I didn't forget.
Forgot.
No, I didn't forget. I did not forget. I didn't do it.
That's impressive.
I just didn't want to work this weekend because I've been working nonstop. So like I did a bit of a gaming thing and that was a pain in the butt. That was kind of fun though. And then we did the podcast and it was just like, I'm not going to work on it anymore this weekend. I'll work on it in the week.
Worked a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Leave me alone. All right. I'll put it up eventually. All right, guys, smash the like button, share the live. Abby, you can open the floodgates. Oh, we forgot to pray. Let's do that first. Lord, thank you for this day and the blessings it's given. Thank you for who you are and all you provide. Walk with us this day. Be present with us. Give us this sword to cut down these heathens. And just be present with us. Allow the Holy Spirit to move through us and correct us when we are wrong. In Jesus' name, amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit.
You're supposed to pray for Jolly Rancher. That's why they sent $2.
Put me in your daily prayer. Pray for Jolly Rancher. I don't know what's going on, but look out for whatever's going on in their life. In Jesus' name, amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. I enjoyed the gaming stream. I'm not a slave driver. Work when you want, LOL. I'm just a humble viewer. See, look at him. He's such a humble guy. Such a humble, good guy.
So humble he has to say it.
Look at Stryker. No, Abby. He's actually a very humble, good guy.
Oh.
Everybody should applaud him. Everybody should applaud him and appreciate. Everyone should appreciate how humble and nice he is.
Do you feel your rewards getting sucked out of you?
My heavenly reward. No.
Oh, Jolly Rancher says, no, LOL, I meant what's your daily prayer
what is my
routine?
daily?
Well, you got a free prayer anyway, Jolly
You
Rancher.
got a free prayer. My daily prayer routine is pretty much meals.
Yeah. That's a good way to keep it in your brain.
Yeah, because trying to just remember to do it at certain points is like hard for me. So anytime I just feel inclined to pray, I'll pray, obviously. But I pray. Yeah. So that was pretty good, John. I don't think that was the best point. Anyways, ADD. What was I talking about? I'm tired.
Praying at mealtimes.
Yeah. So praying at mealtimes is good for me because then it's always a reminder to pray. And just not forget when to do it. No, I think the best moment in the gaming stream, John, is when I told those guys that I would spare them if they said Jesus was king, and then they told me to F off. And so I said, fair enough, and we killed them.
That got clipped.
It did get clipped. It was pretty great. In the gaming stream, yeah, that was one of the best moments. All right, guys. John, you can come up if you're only staying up for a little while. You can come up in the multi-guest option. Like I told you, no, but I thought you meant you were going to be up the whole time in the multi-guest option. I was under the impression you were going to do the whole live there, not just like 30 minutes. That's perfectly fine if it's like a 30-minute thing. you're perfectly okay with that. But yeah, that was funny.
This is not letting me do the floodgates.
What?
It won't open the floodgate.
I am inclined to acquiesce to your request.
That's because of me. I forgot to hit the button.
Was that John? That scared me.
Yeah, John's weird. John's the
No,
definition.
Just his voice came out of nowhere.
John is the definition of a youth pastor. Like if you just think of a youth pastor, you think of John. Like it's just an absolute fact.
I think that's fair. Okay, another really good moment to the gaming stream, though. Another really good moment was when we were going to go around and ask people what their religion was, and if they said Christian, we would spare them. And then there was that one guy where he was like alive, and we were going to ask him, but then he just unalived himself, and I'm like, oh, never mind, he must be Muslim.
How did that not get clipped?
I forgot about that.
Colt, get on it.
I forgot about that one. Okay. Truth. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hello, I'm 16 years old.
All right. God bless. Have yourself a great day.
Dios te bendiga.
No children.
Buenos noches, por favor. Buenas noches, por favor.
So if you want, I can take the TikTok ones and you take the YouTube ones for at least like an hour.
An hour? You said 30 minutes.
I said 30 minutes to an hour.
No, you said 30 minutes.
No,
lying.
look at
I'm
the
going to
text
look at it
and
right
read it
now.
live.
I'm going to look at it right now. Hold on.
Read it live.
No, it says actually family will be back in the park in like 30 minutes to it's probably not worth it, LOL.
You didn't. You said but no hour.
No, he skipped it. It's in the text.
No,
He's
it's
lying.
not. No, it's not. It's not there.
I'm gonna
He's
call
lying.
you
Abby.
out. You
Abby,
liar.
Yeah, John, you liar.
No,
Wait, show it to your wife. Show
My
it to your wife. I
John.
dare you.
my John's lying.
Why are you calling John Geary your my John? That is so weird, Abby. That is so weird. Listen, you guys started texting each other and now you're calling him my John. Should I be concerned here? What's going
We're in
on?
a group chat.
You're in the group chat, ho.
What is going on here? This is I don't approve. I don't approve. Well, if you're going to be on for an hour, you might as well come into the video then. John,
Hold on.
not that video.
I said 30 minutes to an hour. I don't know the time.
Oh
It's
my God,
whenever they
this
get.
guy.
He does not know the hour.
This guy is about as useless
I
as
do
a
not
canker
know the-
sore.
I do not know the hour, but I also am not God. So
This guy is about as useless as a canker sore. All right, guys, smash the like button, share the live. There is no good reason to be an atheist. This is echoing. Turn off your camera. For some reason, when people turn on their camera, it echoes now. I don't know what it is, but it does. What a poor co-host. I agree. I agree. Like easily the worst co-host I've ever had.
listen, I would be here for the entire stream if I was not out of town.
If I wasn't spending time with my family. Nah.
Yeah, you're super butthurt about last night, aren't you?
What? What happened last night?
Huh?
What did
couldn't
happen
game
last
with you.
night, guys?
I couldn't game with you.
No, because I actually gamed with my my heathen friends instead, and they're far funner.
Yeah, and then you
More
said
fun.
family. Then you said family is lame, and then I tattled on you to your wife.
Yeah, family is lame. That's not news to my
That's what I
wife.
woke up. That's what I woke up to.
My wife knows that. She's like, "Hey, we're gonna hang out with family." I'm like, "Ugh."
It's true.
Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hi, I'm probably older than you, so I don't know. Listen, I just wanted to say...
I need an age, bro.
All right, I'm 50, mate. All
right, man.
I'm old.
All right. No
I just
good
wanted
reason
to
to be-
apologize for one thing.
Okay.
Just before I say anything, I spoke to you a few weeks ago. You were talking about, I'll be straight. Obviously, there's a lot of Islamophobe and they're bashing Muslims, and there are Muslims bashing Christians. So all of that is going on. And you had one of your Islamic subject, and I kind of got rage baited, and I came on and I heard your wife, a female voice, and I said something that wasn't very nice. You did drop me, and but I just wanted to, I didn't realize it was your wife, and I thought someone was just sniggering at me. So just as a human being, I just wanted to say truly apologize to your wife for just just saying that. That was I just came across you again. That's all. So I just say that.
I appreciate it, man. It's a big W for apologizing, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
I think I remember him.
You aren't. It was a good few weeks ago. I just came across you again, and I remembered, and I just even when you cut me off after I said what I said, because of my anger.
Yeah.
I said it, and afterwards I realized, and I'm the type of person that I just don't like, doing that kind of thing. But unfortunately, just anger issues and that kind of rage bait and stuff like that. I just want you. Yeah, I'm sure you get a lot of crazy people saying so. You won't remember, but just from my side, I wanted to say, is that your missus on the other side? I can hear the female voice.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm truly sorry. I just heard you just saying something on the background, and I thought another person.
Because I said he got voted off, and he thought I was saying something to him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
But
so
I wasn't.
But yeah.
Well, thank you, man.
Obviously, I'm a
That's a
Muslim,
big W.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Good luck with your show. And obviously, as a Muslim, I agree with you regarding atheists. There's no reason to be an atheist. So
Based.
at least we got something in common.
Based. All right, man. Well, appreciate it. God bless.
All right. No problem, man. Have a good day.
And to be fair, sometimes I'm sassy, but I was not sassy to him.
But
he thought I was.
W is for the guest, chat. W is for the guest. I still have no idea what's happening, but I appreciate it. The nice thing about like making enemies with me is that
You have no memory.
I have no memory. But the negative side is if I do remember, like I hold a grudge. Like if I get to the point where it's like I don't like you, like I don't like you. Like you're dead to me. You're dead.
But it takes a lot to get there.
It takes a lot to get there. But once you're there, you're there.
I know someone who's there.
You do know someone that's there.
I know exactly who you're talking
We
about.
all know who we're talking about. But in all fairness, that person has never made the effort to
No, they just continue to be.
they just continue down that path. That person has never made an effort to repent or apologize. All right, guys, smash the like button, share the live. Let's get out to the people that we need to get out to. Again, today's topic is there is no good reason to be an atheist. If you disagree, you could join in the multi-guest button, or you can join with the other thing that's on the thing for the other people that I can't say because TikTok's sensitive, but we love TikTok and we love our communist Chinese overlords. John Cena?
I think they made a deal. I think they're selling to US or something like that.
They're still going to be like part owners. So US is going to like have like control, but they'll still be like ownership. I don't know how it works, but I'm in Canada, so that doesn't affect us because it's only in the United States.
Yeah, you would have kept it even if I lost it.
Yeah. John is a big poo-poo head. He'll probably forget this. Who are you? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? I've never heard of him. We love TikTok, and we also love white people. TikTok, as Jordan says. What?
White people TikTok.
Oh, white people TikTok. Abby definitely knows how to rage bait John. Do you?
I could if I wanted to, but I don't.
Fair, appreciate you.
I could be. I just have to be like a basic white girl, and that would probably rage bait you.
Yeah. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hi, I'm 30.
Sorry?
I'm 30.
You're 30? All right, man. There's no good reason to be an atheist. Prove us wrong.
I'm not an atheist, but please don't drop me because I'm actually Christian. But a while ago, we were having a conversation about Charlie Kirk and his views and everything. And I was wondering if we could quickly have a conversation, if you don't mind. I hope you wouldn't, please.
It's up to chat. It's up to the chat. Up to the chat.
I
Chat,
really want to have this conversation.
chat. You voted. What was Charlie Kirk's percentage?
It was pretty high. I think it was like second or third.
It was second.
I'll do a poll.
You know, this conversation is probably going to take 2 minutes. You're probably going to drop me. So let's just have it and,
All right.
if
All
you
right.
don't mind.
Chat says yes.
Okay. What do you want to talk about in Charlie Kirk?
Okay. So, I think, I don't know. So my views as a Christian, I'm a black man also. My views as a Christian is that I do not believe that Charlie Kirk was a lot of the things he was saying was actually for just equality of all people. Reason being that for most of the things that he spoke about, um, he always spoke about them from a perspective of minority races in the United States, when most of these things also benefit white people just as much, or probably even more, because white people are they're most populated people in America, probably even more than every other race in the country. So from that standpoint of view, it's very hard for me to, see him as an equal um deliverer of like his views or whatnot.
So Nick,
You
you're
know,
using a lot of vague terminology in order to get some sort of a semblance of a point across. Say what you want to say.
no, it's not victimology. I literally just told you what I think.
No,
I
you're
don't know.
not.
I
You're
don't know what
using
you think.
you're using vague terminology.
Okay,
You're being vague.
for example, okay, let me be more specific with one example. One example is
Yeah.
the what's the government thing that the government helps and everything, right? Or even DEI, for example. One of the groups that benefited the most from DEI or like just food stamps and stuff like that is mostly white families and also
Wait,
especially
wait, wait,
white
wait,
women.
wait. Your argument is DEI benefited white families?
White women, white women.
Okay.
DEI benefited white women just as much as it's benefited any other race in America. That's one thing, and
Sure.
also,
Yeah, I can
and
agree. I can
also,
agree with that. I don't get what your contention is.
yeah. So no, but this is the thing I'm saying, right? Let's say, for example, right? One could probably also argue. I don't know if this is true or not.
But what
If
exactly
you're
are
talking,
we arguing? You said we could also argue. I haven't figured out what we've been arguing.
no, no. Okay, yeah. So that's basically my point. My point is that whenever he talks about these issues, he only mostly ever talks about it from the perspective of other races. Like you can talk about issues without injecting people's skin color or 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 background, and just like if you want to do that, you
Holy heaven,
also have to
Nick, do
talk
you think
about
he
it
was
from your
racist?
perspective. Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Okay. Great.
Yes,
Let's just.
that's
What
why
is
I'm
some?
bringing these examples up.
Okay. Never once did you say, "Hey, I think Charlie Kirk is racist, and here's why." Again, a lot of what you've said has just been like massively vague. So how about we get specific and tell me something that Charlie Kirk said
I literally
or
just gave one
advocated
example.
for?
No, so I don't have to give a specific example of like, oh, this is the exact thing he said. See, look, you
Okay,
can
what's it
you
relating to?
wait,
Is it
hold on.
relating to DEI?
Not just no, not just this is my whole point.
I would
When
love
you
to hear
bring
your whole point. You had no idea how much I would love to hear your whole point.
okay, now you're being condescending.
I'm
Like you don't
extremely
have to.
condescending because holy heaven, man.
We
Please.
got a spicy John today.
Vacation does it too, I guess.
Okay, all right, John. If you don't mind me asking, are you a Christian?
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
So why are you being condescending
No. You
to a
asking
fellow
me
Christian?
questions does not make your argument.
What do you mean? I've literally given
You
an
asking me a
argument that
question does not make your argument.
that
Just make your
John
argument.
said he agrees with, but you're just being condescending because you want to be condescending.
Listen,
You sound stupid.
I want
You sound
you to
ridiculous.
say
You sound
something
stupid.
relevant
I have said
to the
something
point you're
that
trying
is
to make.
relevant that John agrees with, but you didn't listen to it.
And
You didn't listen to it.
I
What
didn't
you
agree
said
with
was
it.
DEI benefits white women.
No,
How does
And-
that entail Charlie Kirk is racist?
How does
Okay.
DEI benefiting white women, to which you and John agreed, entail that Charlie Kirk is racist? Can you connect the dots for me,
like
bro?
I said, with social programs, and I gave an example of DEI. I said it benefits white families just as much as it benefits other
Okay,
families.
is the benefit is benefiting
Shush,
white
I'm not
families
done.
racist?
I'm not done. I'm not done.
Is
I am
benefiting
not
white
done.
families racist? If I
I'm not done.
if I do something that
No.
benefits a white family or an African American does
This
something
is
that
what
benefits a
I
white
mean.
family, is
This
it
is
something
what
that's racist?
this is what I
He
mean.
has been
Okay,
voted
let
off.
me.
There's no other else in the queue. We
Okay.
just keep them on.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean.
Please.
When you're talking about an issue, why are you only talking about
Okay,
the issue
okay.
from
I'm
the
gonna
perspective
I'm gonna
of-
try to steelman your argument from the way I understand it. Your argument is this: Charlie Kirk brings up issues like DEI. He brings it up in the sense of he talks about people and their race, but DEI also helps people who are white, and he doesn't talk about the white people, so therefore he's racist. Is that your argument?
Yes, not just DEIs or other social programs. Whenever he talks about these issues, he mostly talks about it from the perspective of people that don't look like him. Why? That is not a way to have a fair conversation.
So
If you
I
have
think
a problem,
I think
no,
we I
if
think
you
we
have
can
a
agree.
problem,
I think we can agree then bare minimum that Charlie Kirk's not a misogynist then? Because you just admitted he's not attacking white women.
you cannot be a misogynist and be racist. You don't have to be a misogynist.
No, but I'm saying you can agree he's not a misogynist, right? Because that's something people
Cannot be a
often throw out.
misogynist and a racist.
What are we
Yeah,
talking
you
about?
can. You can be a misogynistic racist.
We're talking about. Okay. You know what? Let me put it like this. I wouldn't say that Charlie Kirk is completely racist. I would say he
Just a little
definitely has a preference. He definitely has a preference for people that look like him, and I don't think that that's Christian-like. Personally, I don't think that that's Christian-like. Like if I wanted to talk about DEI, or I wanted to talk about like social programs and how it's not helping people and everything, I wouldn't be so specific about people that don't look like me. I will talk about it from a general point of view, and I will give examples from all areas and from all groups. That's basically what I mean. And he doesn't do that.
Do you want to know
And
why
when
he
you
doesn't
don't
do that?
when
Do you
you
wanna-
don't do that, no,
Wait, do you wanna
I don't
know-
want to know.
do you wanna
from
know
you.
why?
I don't care. I'm not talking to you. I don't
The
want to
re-
know from you.
the
And when
reason-
Yes, you
don't
are.
do
He doesn't.
that-
Hold on.
Wait a second, when you don't do that-
What do you mean you don't care? Hold on. You came up. You wanted
No,
to have
I
a
don't-
debate.
no,
Hold
no,
on.
no,
Hold
I
on.
don't
Hold on.
wanna-
Hold on. Remember,
I
you've been
don't
voted
want
off
to
the
hear
island.
from
You've been voted
him.
off the island. So
From him,
so
from
be nice.
him, not from.
Be nice.
I'm
doesn't
willing
wanna
to
hear
talk
from
to
John.
you. I don't want to. I don't want to hear from that.
Here's
from that
the thing.
because-
Here's the thing. You came up to have an argument on a specific topic, and then when he's going to present the reason for the argument, like I don't want to hear your argument. I'm just right. Is that how you debate?
No, he
No, I
doesn't
don't
like
want to
John.
speak to him. I don't want to speak to him. Like,
Well,
I
then
don't-
you
I
could
don't-
leave.
Well,
He's
that's
my
a first.
co-host.
That is a
Usually
first.
it's the other.
right,
Usually it's
you're-
the other way around.
That's a very
You'll have a-
first.
You'll have a good day. You'll have a good day. Bye.
All right, bro. Appreciate you. God bless. He left on his own. I didn't kick him. That's a. We could put that down in
History.
history, man. That's the very first time that has ever
Somebody
happened
clip
ever.
that.
Somebody clipped that. Somebody
It's
didn't
cold
like
here.
Little John and wanted to talk to me. That's crazy.
This is crazy.
I'm sorry. Maybe I am just. Maybe I need to go pray and then come back out. I don't know.
No, bro. I thought you
You're
were
making
fine.
you're making your 30 minutes count.
Like Frick, the dude just didn't say. He never said Charlie Kirk was racist. He's just like he talked about this and it hurt my feelings. And what's the point? And then when he finally gets okay, yeah, because he talked about these things and he talked about them in relevance to a number of minorities, right? So the primary way that DEI is going to involve white women is going to be something like one example could be brought up of a woman having a period, right? And them within a workplace being able to, like the workplace providing things for women's periods if women don't have them themselves. Like that's a form of DEI that has been
Right.
utilized.
right,
in a sense.
hold on. We got a guest. All right. Warlord, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I am 26.
All right, bro. There's no good reason to be atheist. Prove us wrong. Go ahead.
So I'm actually Christian, just to let you know. I'm not atheist. But I do think that if you were to talk about a good reason why people are atheists, it would be they don't understand God. Like they legit don't understand spirituality, God. They have a blockage in their brain, perhaps, for being able to understand those well. Like that is not something that is equal across the population.
So I'm not interested in devil's advocate argument, but I do appreciate you coming up, bro.
All right.
God bless. I don't understand atheism. Well, come on up and explain it to me. Come on up and explain atheism to me. Explain to me the lack theism that you guys all believe and how that works and what exactly it means. I'm very interested in that. All right, guys, smash the like button, share the live. If we don't get guests here soon, we'll switch it to Charlie Kirk because that was our second anyways, and people wanted to talk about it and got John spicy. So we appreciate Spicy John. We appreciate Spicy John.
See, this is how my moral compass turns. Is whenever John tells me that I'm being spicy, I know I've done something immoral.
That's good. That's good. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hello, I'm 20.
All right, bro. There's no good reason to be atheist. Prove us wrong. Go ahead.
Okay. I didn't come up here because I wanted to argue for atheism. I more just had questions about God because I don't I'm reading the Bible just out of interest, and I just wanted to ask you a few questions if that's all right.
Sure.
Yeah. So the last guy put it pretty, it resonates with me a lot. I'm just confused about God. I believe that my life is improved by following some of the things that he says, which is why I took an interest in the Bible. But I'm just confused about what believing in God really means.
So what's your question?
What is God? What is God in Christianity?
What is God?
Yeah.
God is
what?
God is existence in itself. God is being.
I see. Yeah, sorry. I don't I should have thought about this more, but I don't really know what to ask.
Hey, I got questions, but I'm not sure what to ask. Fair enough.
I should have thought about this more. Sorry.
Well, hey, I'm not trying to scare you off, man. If you figure out the questions you do want to ask, come back up.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, man. God bless.
Do you guys have Culver's in Canada?
Do we have what?
Culver's.
What is that?
It's a restaurant.
Oh, no. I don't think so. Not at least not where we are.
I don't know what's everybody's levels today are all over the place. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you? Tony.
Yeah, I'm 44.
All right, bro. There's no good reason to be atheist. Prove us wrong. Go ahead.
I'm not an atheist, but I do have questions about the Bible.
What are you?
Do you know what questions you have?
I do, yes.
All right, sweet.
So the Bible says that God knows everything we're going to do before we do it, all that kind of good stuff, correct?
God knows all true claims.
Okay, so in that case, if God knows everything before we're going to do it, then he made Jeffrey Dahmer, knowing he was going to be a serial killer, condemning him to a life of sin.
Yep.
Even though we have free choice, he knew what choices he was going to make. So therefore, he put him on that position to be a serial killer, to be a life of sin, correct?
Yep.
So why would he do that to his own people he loves?
Makes life more interesting.
So he condemned his own child to hell.
No, Jeffrey Dahmer repented.
Okay. So he did, but the next man may not.
Yeah, that's his own fault. He should have repented.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you.
Yep.
God bless.
This is an interesting day.
Why did that work? I don't understand.
Good question. Okay.
Like, fair enough. Fair enough, I guess.
You shouldn't unalive people. All right.
Just be straight up with people. They appreciate it. They appreciate it. Oh my God. That was great. Oh, somebody brought up a good point. You could just be clickbaiting, looking for me to say something terrible so they can make a clip of me and post it, right?
True. He didn't really seem like that.
No,
though.
I don't think so. John, why did that work? What just happened? Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I am doing well. I'm 25, and yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem, bro. All right, there's no good reason to be atheist. Prove us wrong. Go ahead.
There's no good reason to be atheist. Well, I mean, I don't think there's necessarily like a moral, blanket that's over the position of being atheist or not. I don't think if you're atheist or you're religious, that has anything to do with anything else.
Good reason. Good reason
yeah.
isn't meaning like
It's
moral
rational.
good. It's
Go
just
ahead,
talking about it's justified. Sorry. Yeah, good in the sense of justification, not good in the sense of like some moral ought.
Yeah, I mean, being an atheist, it's interesting. I mean, it's gives people an identity. It lets people, be who they want to be. And that's kind of, so I think it serves its point.
Yeah, so when you're talking about something that is rational, there's like three pillars to like a justification. There's belief, there's knowledge, and then there's a justification, right? If you don't have those things, then by definition it's irrational to like hold to it. So like what would be the reason to hold to like atheism being true?
I think people just are comfortable with being like, you know what, I don't want to be a part of this institution that society has been built on, and I kind of want to go a different direction. I kind of want to be, I just don't want to be religious.
Okay, but again, that's irrational if you have no reason outside of like, it just makes me feel good, right? So I could say like, hey, I am a unicorn. I genuinely believe I'm a unicorn. I want to live like a unicorn, and it makes me feel good. And I don't think you would say that is a good reason to believe I'm a unicorn. And if you are going to say that, that's pretty crazy in my opinion.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have the rationale part down. I just, so is there a good reason to be an atheist? I mean, that has to be on a person-to-person basis. I don't know if you can say that there's like an objective yes or no to this question.
Well, it's asking the question, is atheism true? Right. So if I talked about the law of gravity and I say, if the prompt said something like, there is no good reason to believe in gravity, right? Someone would come up and say, oh, no, there's like good reason to believe in it because, look, I dropped this
John,
thing.
you're running the show. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Someone could say, no, there is a good reason because I hold this object up, I drop it, it falls to the ground. That's a justification for gravity. So they're going to be saying that gravity is true. Now, when talking about atheism, we're asking what is the principle that makes atheism true? Because it's not going to be the case, like John said, it's not going to be the case that it's just going to be based off of someone feels good about it or someone's emotional about it. Their emotional state doesn't speak anything to the truth of the proposition, because I can be a Christian and be very content. I am a Christian and I am very content emotionally, and it makes me feel good, but that doesn't make Christianity true. So the principle that we're asking is what makes atheism true?
Correct. Yeah, no, I believe with religion, it's kind of like, it's one of those things where you can't really prove or disprove it. So, I mean, I think there's as much of a burden of truth on your side. I mean, both sides have a burden of truth. I don't think that they even need to explain that truth.
Well, the burden of proof, which I think is what you were alluding to, the burden of proof is on both sides, right? It's on the atheist to justify why atheism is true, because atheism is the proposition that there are no God or gods, and theism is the proposition that there are God or gods, right? And specifically like personal. So both of them are going to have a burden, and you absolutely can prove, like you can prove in the sense that prove means you can give like high justification for the proposition that it's true or false. So if I said there's a logical contradiction,
Can I address this comment real quick? Somebody said I always look miserable AF. If you guys had to talk to you guys, if you guys had to talk to you guys all the time, you'd be miserable too. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. So if someone were to provide a logical contradiction, that would render a belief false, right? So that's one way that you could do it. Another way that you could prove that Christianity is false is in virtue of disproving the resurrection, right? Because Christianity wouldn't exist without the resurrection. So these are ways, like you said, you can't prove religion true or false. Well, that's not true, right? You can prove these things false in virtue of like the claims that they're making, whether it's a historical claim, maybe it's a philosophical claim, stuff like that. Like in the Quran, it's even going to be problematic with like scientific claims because they think the Quran is directly from like divine dictation. So there are ways to do it in virtue of the belief system. Oh, okay.
You bored him to death.
Dadgummit.
You literally
That's
bored
so
him.
rude.
You literally bored him to death. John won the debate by being bored.
I was going to, when you were talking about being a unicorn because it makes you feel good, I was going to say, well, you have the nose for it. That could be confused with a horn. So.
Do I? I don't think I got.
so rude.
I do got a jacked up nose, but I don't think it's that. Yeah, it's not that big, but it's pretty jacked up. Like it's like, look, it like runs down at a slant. So like, it's like straight here and then crooked here and then slants back in here. And then this nostril, I can shove my finger all the way up here, but then this one.
Yeah, when you turn to the side, you kind of remind me of like BC ancestors, but.
BC ancestors? Oh, I get it. Neanderthals. That's not my good side. Like, I definitely have a good side. Like this side, like, look. Handsome.
He was mean to me first, Abby.
That side looks like a Neanderthal for sure. Like it's an illusion. It 100% is. All right, let's bring up the next guest. Dan, hello. How are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hi, I'm 18.
All right, bro. No good reason to be an atheist. Prove us wrong. Go ahead.
Well, well, you've heard it a million times. You know, it's just classic reason. Not enough evidence.
Okay, so why is atheism the default?
Well, okay, so sorry, belief that it is so high. I would agree, fair enough, that you cannot entirely prove that God doesn't exist. So being agnostic is very reasonable. I get that. But when you believe to so much of an extent that it is so highly unlikely, I mean, I could say I'm agnostic, but
I think agnosticism is based. I have no argument against agnosticism.
Sorry?
I have no argument against agnosticism. I think agnosticism is a based point. I think somebody saying, I don't know, thumbs up. Somebody saying God does not exist, I'm very interested in the argument for that.
Okay, so I guess the argument for full-on atheism is that there being absolutely no evidence for it and no evidence for something like it indicates it does not exist. But obviously you believe you do have evidence for it, so I completely understand you being a Christian. That's
okay.
Obviously.
Do you believe in abiogenesis?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, what's the evidence for it?
There isn't any.
Okay,
not any.
Then abiogenesis doesn't exist.
But we can't. We found that for thousands of scientific theories in the past. You know, we didn't know why it rained. We said it was God. We then found out why it rained, and we were like, oh, it wasn't.
Yeah, I'm
God,
not
but
sure
we
what that
figured
has to do with what I said, though, right? Because like, you believe abiogenesis is true, you think it has a good explanatory
just because
power,
we-
but you have no evidence for abiogenesis, right? We can't repeat it in a lab. It's just a really good hypothesis considering all the data. So I could just say it doesn't exist because I could say there's not enough evidence for it. Just like you're saying, there's not enough evidence for God, so therefore God does not exist. Like if that's the default position, if the default position is thing does not exist until I'm convinced, I think that's hugely problematic.
But there is evidence pointing towards abiogenesis.
What?
There's not specific evidence for how it's happened or specifically.
What is the evidence pointing towards abiogenesis?
Life.
I could say life is the evidence for God.
But abiogenesis is a logical conclusion that scientists that have researched it have come to.
And I could say life is a logical conclusion,
such as the forming of proteins.
Hold on, I could say life is a logical conclusion that philosophers have looked at and come to a conclusion to.
Yes, but for example, the forming of proteins suggests that abiogenesis is possible.
How?
Like, it's not, because we know that amino acids in hot conditions can change structures and form shapes which can turn into life. It's not.
How do we know it can turn into
no
life?
Proof. We don't. That's why it's a theory. But there's evidence that it could happen.
Okay, so all I'm saying is that I can reject it and say it's not true until you provide enough evidence that I can't.
So you're saying that without enough evidence, you're saying that's my argument for God not existing. I think you're completely reasonable to say it's not true.
What I'm showing you is that your argument doesn't work. Just stating things do not exist until I'm convinced they exist is an irrational point to hold, right? Because if that was the case, then Pluto never exists. Saturn never existed. Quantum physics didn't exist. Like there's a whole plethora of things that just didn't exist until we were convinced of it. We would say that we're agnostic. We don't know it exists until we have a justification for it not existing or it existing.
The justification for it not existing.
Or it existing. For example, I have a justification that that John here is a man and not a woman, right? I don't take the default position that he is a man, but there's justification, reasons to believe that he is a man and not a woman.
And that justification is not that I have ever dropped my pants or anything. I just want to make that very clear. That
that's what he's telling you, but so we have justifications for beliefs. What I'm asking for is the justification for atheism.
I guess. Okay, so if we go back to the abiogenesis, right? There's. Okay,
I could switch it. I could switch to a better example. Do aliens exist?
Yeah. There's no evidence to suggest that they do, but there is, I suppose, the evidence of us. Yeah.
But do aliens exist?
Potentially.
Okay, so that's a maybe, right?
Yeah.
So it's agnosticism.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But we have zero evidence of aliens.
Okay.
So why can't I just say no, they do not exist?
Okay. Do you think witches exist?
Do I think witches exist? I don't think it's likely.
Yeah.
Well, actually I do, but like depends on what you mean by witch.
Okay. The point I'm trying to make is if I pointed out something wildly just that couldn't exist and said, well, there's no evidence.
Why can't it exist?
It doesn't exist. Well, it can, but my point is that my belief that it's so wildly unlikely.
Why is it wildly unlikely?
It's because there's no evidence.
Do we have any evidence that aliens exist?
We do. We have our life and the potential for. We're not going anywhere. I gotta leave. Sorry, bye.
Okay.
Thanks, man, for the conversation.
Okay. All right. God bless.
Cheers.
Cheers. Let's do some super chats. So what about the grays? Did God make them? I don't know what the grays are. Do you guys hate and troll Indians as well? Do I hate and troll Indians? No. Why?
Why would I do that?
Also, where did that come from? That was like out of left field. Thank you for the convo on abortion we had a few months ago. I'm now fully devoted to God and have been going to Catholic Church. May God bless you as always. Atheism is pretty whack. W! W! Where is it? Where is it?
I don't remember this person.
I don't either, but
Congratulations.
God is good. God is good.
We got one.
God got one. We take no glory. God is good. That is
Just a figure of speech.
That is W's in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. W's in the chat. That's two.
I meant the collective we.
The collective we. That's two. That's two converts that we've seen in the last week or so. A little bit more than a week. That's two converts that we've seen in the chat that have messaged us. W's in the chat. Let's hear more about how these conversations aren't fruitful. Come on. All right, let's go. W's. Good luck on your journey. Be patient with it. Give yourself grace as you learn and grow. Try to submit yourself to church leadership. Don't jump into anything too quick, right? Be patient and allow your relationship to Christ with grow at its own pace. Don't push and force anything. Good luck on your journey. Join our Discord if you have any questions for us. Links in the bio. But yes, good luck to you. W's. That's huge. That's huge. Did you see how John's quiet? He doesn't care about people's salvation.
John.
How dare
I'm
you,
not
John? All right, we got
it's a W.
He's scrambling now.
Is this person going to connect? I don't think so. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Chase, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hey, I'm 33.
All right, bro. There's no good reason to be atheist. Prove us wrong. Go ahead.
All right. We've talked a couple times before. I don't know if you remember me or not.
Your voice sounds familiar, but I couldn't say I remember you.
The grandma sex guy.
What?
Please remember me for next time so I don't have to introduce myself as the grandma sex guy.
I was going to say, imagine having to introduce yourself that way.
Oh, I remember. That just hit me. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
All right.
He's the guy who thinks that you can have sex with your grandma.
No. Whoa.
That's what he said. He said there's literally no justifiable reason why you couldn't do it. But he said,
the second time he came back, he said he had an argument for it.
I'm just picking on you, bro.
I gave you W on that one, all right? That one, I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Good reason not to do it, but I don't like it. Okay.
Welcome back.
See, he just admitted it.
Welcome back.
All right, go ahead, bro.
Okay. So you bullied that poor kid. Atheism absolutely is the null hypothesis that we should be accepting without greater evidence.
Okay. Give me a justification.
Okay, so there's a sense in which, like, if we're talking about the question of is there God, there's a sense in which agnosticism is the default, but not to that specific question. Agnosticism is the default about like why there's a universe at all. So for example, if we walked into a room together and there was a puddle on the floor, and we were like, how'd that get there? And you were like, I don't know. And I was like, I think aliens did it. You would give me an incredulous stare, and you might still remain agnostic as to how the puddle got there, but you would not be agnostic as to my claim. You would immediately disbelieve my claim unless I came with some pretty strong evidence to suggest that aliens came in here and spilled this water on the ground for some reason.
Yeah, so the reason that I can reject your alien hypothesis is because I could probably present a hypothesis that's simpler, right? That has fewer entities. That would be a better explanation, has more explanatory power and scope. And so therefore I'd make your hypothesis less likely.
Yeah, but right, because we would need like some type of evidence. I mean, that we can say the same thing about like the God hypothesis, right? So if we're like, hey, if we just woke up on this earth and we're like, hey man, how did we get here? and you were like, oh, I don't know, and I was like, all right, well, what if this like omnipotent, omnibenevolent entity with a triune nature did all of this and is going to be judging our souls once we die? I think you could just come up with a simpler hypothesis than that too, or just
Okay,
at
great.
least not
What is the simpler hypothesis for life existing?
Just the universe or the multiverse being necessary. That's one less step than like a necessary God than creating the universe.
Okay, so the universe just itself is necessary. So how do you incorporate for like ad hoc or arbitrary principles?
What do you mean?
So for example, why is the speed of light where it is?
Oh well, that was in the multiverse. We covered that. So there's the multiverse being there's not just one possible set of ways that the laws of physics can turn out. It all or a lot of it gets instantiated across, and then through the anthropic principle, we find ourselves in the one where we can live.
Yeah, I'm not talking about where we could live. I'm just talking about like ad hoc, arbitrary set standards. So like, what makes the speed of light the speed of light? Right? We can just always push the goal back. Like if we want to go back to multiverse aspects, what makes the multiverse the way that it is? Why are there ad hoc and arbitrary principles? Basically, you have to deny a PSR or even like a small PSR, even a great PSR to do this. And if you're going to do that, then you kind of have to deny the scientific principle.
Why do you have to deny the scientific principle?
Because the scientific principle relies on the PSR. It basically states that, hold on one sec.
If multiverse theory is true, there is an alternate reality where the caller is Christian and doesn't believe it would be okay to sleep with our grandmas. I wish we lived in that universe. Sad.
No, that's actually not true. That is also a necessary fact. That is true in all possible worlds. You'll never find a world where I deny grandma sex. It's not possible.
Go ahead and give that logical. What's the logical contradiction? It's not possible.
Strike or kill, John.
The more I think about it, the funnier it gets.
We need to come up with a better descriptor for you so you don't have to say that next time.
I will come back with the Kalam cosmological variant of why I must always, in all possible worlds, believe in grandma sex. But,
okay. Okay. Yeah. So the scientific method heavily relies on the PSR. It basically states that the reason we are investigating things or observing them is because we're looking for an explanation for their existence or why they're operating the way that they are. It's also just like I'm going to butcher this. It also seems intuitively true. It seems like an axiomatic thing that the PSR is something that we heavily rely on. There actually wouldn't be a reason for me to accept a universe that doesn't have the principle of sufficient reason, either a strong or a light one.
But doesn't that apply to God too?
No, but see, I have a justification for the PSR.
No, I mean, so you're saying that like it breaks the PSR because it would just be a brute fact that we have a multiverse with the type of properties that can produce at least one universe that.
What I'm saying is there's a whole bunch of like ad hoc and arbitrary principles, whether it's like the speed of light or the strong gravitational force, or how the multiverse actually pushes out smaller multiverse, or the system in which they push out multiverses, or why they push out multiverses the way that they do, or like there's a whole bunch of things that you have to incorporate and look for, and then you're just adding on more entities and making it more complex, and it does not seem to be the simpler hypothesis.
Not to mention that if you instantiate a multiverse as an explanation for like these arbitrary limits, then your ontology is actually going to be more bloated than our ontology because you're making more assumptions and you're positing more entities. So both. So if I posit one being that creates one universe, right, and that being is God, and then you're positing all of these other universes in this multiverse, then your ontology is actually going to be more bloated than mine.
So
I disagree because it's
so just I'll just finish. So like going back to like that puddle analogy that you used, right? A simpler explanation. There's a drip in the roof. You gave a logical possibility. Oh, one sec.
If multiverse is true, that means there is possible world where God exists, and if God exists in any possible world, then he also exists in all worlds, including ours. Therefore, God exists.
I like that argument. I think there are problems with it. but we'll come back to that. So to the like, if we're in a room, there's a puddle. I can give like a simpler hypothesis that there's a leak in the roof and it was raining. You say that it's aliens. You have more complex, more entities and more ad hoc ideas. Mine has less. It's simpler and it's more in line with like our axioms. And so therefore my hypothesis is more likely to be true. So I have reason to reject yours. And so then when you're giving like your atheist, right, like a multiverse thing, John was saying you're adding in all these extra entities, making it more complex. But I cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, sure. So I was just going to say, I don't agree that it actually is more complex, because while mine might have like strictly more entities, like there's more particles, the God hypothesis has more different types of entities. Like mine just has material entities, like at the base. There's just atoms bumping around. There's one type of entity. Whereas the God hypothesis has at least two types. There maybe three. There's like mental, there's spiritual, non-physical. There's an infinite God entity that's non-material, and then there's also the physical world.
Yeah,
that is instantiated by that being.
I would just argue that we already have a universe that doesn't have that has non-physical entities, and I think we could prove it just with a simple thought experiment. Can you picture a pink elephant in your head?
Yeah, no, I do agree that consciousness is probably the best argument for theism. I just concede on that one. I don't.
So
I have a good argument against that one.
Yeah. So I say we have argument to believe that that's not adding an extra entity. We already like concede that there are non-material things. For example, where's redness?
Yeah. That redness is a tough one. I'll give you that one.
Based.
But you know, there's plenty of really smart philosophers that think that consciousness is somehow possible with materialism. So
there's plenty of really smart philosophers who don't.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying, I'm not sure we can just take that as a granted, like that we know that there are non-physical entities that exist. Consciousness could somehow be physical. Like it does obviously seem to be generated by the brain, which is very physical. I agree. I'm also dubious that it is entirely physical, but I think there's decent evidence.
But now you're taking a positive case, and I think that's awesome. You're taking a positive case for atheism rather than like a null hypothesis.
Sure. Yeah. I guess my point is like, if we're, my original point is just that the quote unquote, like to answer the original question, like the good reason to be atheist is it does seem like it's a null hypothesis in a sense that like, you know, like Russell's teapot. Like if I just come with a positive claim, I think we're justified to not just be totally agnostic 50% to it, but deny it until we have evidence.
Russell's teapot, I have good reason to say that it's not circling Saturn, right? So like, I know how teapots are made. I know where they come from. I know our ability to send it to space. I know people's desire. So I can give like a good explanation. I can give like a good inductive argument on why a teapot is not circling Saturn and say therefore it's less likely. And I think when we're talking about what is true and what's not true, we're just talking about likelihood. So I can say it's so not likely that I don't believe it, that I don't believe it's there. Can I deny it outright? Absolutely not. But I can make a good argument for why it's not there.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I guess I would agree that it's probably only makes sense to be purely agnostic on general theism, though. I wouldn't agree on like specific theistic claims like Christianity, but yeah,
I'm willing to bite that bullet.
Okay, all right. Well, we can agree then.
But I'm just saying, why are you going to say that general theism, but not Christianity? Why do you have good reason to deny Christianity?
Oh, there's a few. Last time we talked about the PoE. Another one's like the problem of the unevangelized or the under-evangelized. I think
you're kind of glitching out a little bit. Can you restate it again?
Can you hear me? Am I good now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say the last time we talked about the PoE, I think another good one is the problem of the unevangelized or like maybe the under-evangelized.
So basically, problem of evil and divine hiddenness.
Yeah, divine hiddenness is a strong one.
Okay. Now this is
evolution, especially for Christianity specifically, seems to be a problem, but that really just kind of boils down to the PoE again. So
great. So this being an eternal critique, why is the problem of evil and divine hiddenness contradictory to the Christian worldview?
Because the Christian worldview claims that God is omnibenevolent and omniscient, and we don't seem to be in a world governed by an omnibenevolent, omniscient being.
According to what standard, though? Is it a Christian standard or your own personal standard? Because it's a Christian.
I would say it's
a Christian
standard laid out
right?
within Christianity. Yeah,
okay.
I would say that what Christians generally seem to consider good and evil. Like I tend to agree with most Christians on what good and evil things look like. A lot of words that I can't say, thanks to the Chinese.
Well,
the
no,
TikTok.
no,
But,
no. I think you're misunderstanding my question. So, like Christians, yes, we say that God is all loving, but what exactly does that mean? So, the standard, like traditionally, of God being all loving is the simple fact that He operates in a purely selfless act. Nothing He does is for His own personal gain. So, the only thing He ever does is for the sake of others. So, for example, before creation, it'd be for the sake of the Son, for the sake of the Holy Spirit, and then with creation, even making creation is only for the sake of creation. So, I'm curious. I'm like, from an eternal critique, where's the contradiction? Like, where would I look inside the Christian worldview and say that God contradicts Himself in His all-loving state?
Sure, I would say sending anyone to hell for eternity would be a good example of that.
How?
Because if you're doing something purely selflessly,
Yep.
if you're an all-loving being and you create a being that you know beforehand with your omniscience is destined for eternal hellfire, it seems like you should just really not create that guy.
Yeah, so in the eternal Christian worldview, it specifically says that if He removed some of the evil that He had now, like if He took it out, He would lose the potential good in the future. And that's in line with the characteristics that we would expect from a Christian God.
Yeah, but I admit I'm not God, so I could just be doing the math right, but the only math I can do is the math I can do. And the math that I can do says that anyone suffering eternally, that's a hell of a price to pay.
But those people
So
suffering
even if one
internally, the traditional viewpoint, like the orthodoxy view, and I'm not talking specifically about the Orthodox denomination, but I mean traditionally, it's been viewed as hell was being in God's presence, but you just rejecting Him. And so all it is, he's allowing you to make your own decision and reject Him. So you're not sent off to a different place where you're just sent to suffer and be in pain. It's basically you don't want God, but God cannot separate you from Himself because He is the state of being. And so therefore being in the presence of God is what's causing your suffering. If all you did was simply turn away from your own desire and turn towards God, you would no longer suffer.
Yeah, but there's another problem there too, is doxastic involuntarism, like the idea that to accept a gift, you have to believe the gift exists, right? So, for example,
we're not talking about
myself as example.
But we're not talking about ignorance, right? Nobody's going to get sent to hell out of ignorance. It's going to be out of personal choice.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, just on your view, like right now, I don't believe in God. If I did think He was real, I would worship Him. I just don't think He's real. If I die remaining in this state, like if I have a heart attack right out, like in 5 minutes, do you think I go to heaven or hell?
I have no idea where you go. I can't make a claim on your salvation.
Well, for sure, but just based on your beliefs, where would someone like that end?
I don't know. I don't know. God gives grace where He gives grace, and it says that your own conscience will bear witness against you. So, like, if you would just you would worship Him, but genuinely you're actually an evil, horrible person in your heart, that probably is not enough.
Oh,
yeah.
Sure.
I mean, in the Christian.
Well, I mean,
I was just going to say this, and then John, I actually have to go. But in the Christian worldview, like you hear us say all the time that God is just, right? Justice is going to be entirely determined in virtue of the intention of your heart. I think we have plenty of scriptural cases to which we're going to see that. And so God is going to judge the heart. If the heart is positioned in a way that is, like, as you say, like it's just out of ignorance, it's not out of malice or something like that, then it's potential that God would provide a way which would be like post-mortem opportunity, or it would also not just be post-mortem, but it could also be sometime in your life there's an opportunity that's presented to you to which you're able to accept it. So you're not unalived yet, so you would agree with me that like you still have time to which your mind could be changed or your heart could be changed toward the proposition of God's existence. And we would affirm that same thing. So we're not going, like, if you were to unalive right now, God is just. Ultimately, it's His call. We're not going to say one way or another whether you're going to heaven or whether you're going to hell. So
sure, yeah. I guess my critique would be more with like if we take Christianity at face value, because like I definitely agree that there's ways you can interpret it, which it makes sense. But like there's the line in the Bible, no one gets to the Father except through the Son. That makes it seem like I do actually need to like profess belief in Jesus Christ
You do.
to get to heaven.
You do. That's not something that you can reject. It's just about when you're given the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, and
Okay,
it's
you just
also
believe that can
it's also in
happen after I
virtue.
die, in theory.
Yeah, it's also in virtue. Like Jesus is the only way for us to reach God. He's the bridge, right? If that bridge did not exist, if the atonement did not take place, if the resurrection did not take place, then the bridge would not be there, right? It's simply saying that God provided us an opportunity to be in relationship with God again. So relationship was found in the beginning of the book in Genesis. Relationship was lost in the presence of God, and relationship is restored through the actions of Jesus taking on the curse of sin, even though he was innocent. And taking on the curse of sin is just representing, like you've heard the scripture, for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord, right? Well, here's where we have a situation within Christian theology where an innocent man, a sinless man, took on the curse of
what? Did I just lose them, or did you lose them too?
No, sorry. This
Oh, there you go.
this is a moment to where Jesus took on the curse of sin, which is death, even though he was sinless. And that provides us an opportunity to be with God, in relationship with God, in the presence of God, and all that. So,
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's ways to make it make sense. I guess it would just be a question of like scripture, because like I don't know, like the Christianity I was taught growing up made it seem like there was much more consequence to this particular life. Like if you didn't, like, I mean, that's why like Christians are called to like go forth and spread the gospel. I mean, at least I think it's fair to say that earlier Christians believed that like if they didn't evangelize to people, then those people were doomed for the hellfire. So I don't know, like if you have an interpretation of it that makes that not necessarily the case, or that people can be
Right.
like potentially redeemed after death, I do think that's much
So-
more internally consistent with
John.
the loving God.
John's gone. See you, John. So I would agree with you. I would agree with you. I think there is a specific problem with like fundamental Christianity, where people have like gone with this like. Now everybody always yells at me when I say sola scriptura, because like I get it wrong, and I get it. There are multiple ways to view sola scriptura, but there's a lot of Christians have taken like sola scriptura as like this is it. This is all I have, and I'm gonna use Bible to interpret the Bible, and I think that's hugely problematic, and it's led to like a whole bunch of crazy views that have not existed until like the last couple hundred years. And it's within those last couple hundred years we've ended up with like these viewpoints of like, yeah, you have to do all these things and you have to scream at people that they're going to turn or burn or all that kind of stuff. That's never traditionally been part of the Christian viewpoint, and has led to a lot of problematic beliefs that I think have actually pushed more people away than drawn them in.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it to you. You do seem to have the most consistent version of Christianity in mind that I've come across. So, all right, I mean, yeah.
So are you Christian now?
I'll take it. Well, no, because I still don't think it's true, but I think it's more, your version is more internally consistent. I'll grant you that.
All right, man. Well, anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, bro.
Good talking to you, good man.
Appreciate you. Stay away from those grandmas, and God bless.
I get.
Poor guy's never gonna live that down.
He shouldn't have just told me. He should have just said, "We talked before. Just remember me." But he had to bring up the thing, and now he did it to himself. He did it to himself. If God exists, he must be both good and evil. Evil is, you cannot be evil. Evil is a lack of something. We read that one. Multiverse of the gaps fallacy. Atheist agnostic. I see no evidence for God, but maybe God wants kids to get cancer. God lives in the gaps of we haven't figured this stuff out yet. It's not really an argument. The real Elliot, even if multiverse exists, it doesn't negate the fine-tuning argument for God, and there's no logical reasons to assume the multiverse itself needs an explanation.
As there's no logical.
As there's no logical. And somebody did a really good job addressing that. Who's that scientist guy that your family likes?
Stephen Meyer?
Yeah, Stephen Myers does a good job addressing the multiverse issues. I don't think he's the best, but like when it comes specifically to that topic, I think he did a great job. Let's bring up a next guest. Dr. Cthulhu. How original.
Yes.
All right. Hello. How are you? Just real quick. How old are you?
Hi. I'm good. I'm in my 40s.
All right. All right, bro. No good reason to be an atheist. Prove me wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the good reason that I have is, and I know you. I've been watching the show, so I know you've been discussing this already, but I'm going to say that it is the default scientific position when you're not convinced of any God claims. So
Okay. So
that
can you give me the
Sorry, go ahead.
justification for the null hypothesis?
The justification.
Yeah.
The null hypothesis is the only one that doesn't need justification.
So you don't need to justify that something is not until it is?
Yeah, you don't need to accept any claims unless you have reason to accept those claims.
Well, I agree that you don't have to accept claims, but you should take an agnostic position. Would you not agree?
So that is, yeah.
For example, if I say I have a dog, right?
Okay.
And like I haven't provided any evidence, all except for my testimony of saying I have a dog. You're probably going to take an agnostic position, right? Maybe he does, or maybe just it might take me at my word, depending on what you need to believe I have a dog. But you're most likely going to take an agnostic position until you have a justifiable reason to believe either positive or negative. So a positive of that is like I show you a picture, I show you my dog, you come and meet my dog. A negative to that is like, hey, you come over to my house, you look around my house. Can you answer this and see what that is? You look around my house and you see that, yeah, there's no dog and there's no signs of a dog. And these are things I would expect to see if somebody had a dog. So I don't believe you have a dog. So I can now take a negative position. But I wouldn't just take the position you do not have a dog until you prove it.
Well, it's going to depend on the how extreme the claim is, right? So,
Why?
like, if you say, well, because really it comes down to, do we have evidence that makes the claim reasonable, even if we don't have evidence for the specific claim in mind? So, I might not know whether you have a dog. Right? But I know that people own dogs regularly. I've owned a dog before. I know that dogs exist, right? I know that there's infrastructure to support people owning dogs, right? It's not an unreasonable claim to make.
Okay, so what exactly is the line then of when something has a null hypothesis and doesn't have a null hypothesis? Where exactly do we draw this arbitrary line?
I think everything has a null hypothesis, but not everything has that kind of supporting evidence to make it a reasonable claim.
Right. So again, where null is the default, where is the line?
Well, the line is where there's convincing evidence.
No, I'm saying
where there's
I'm
not.
saying
That is the line.
That's not what my question is. Like, you're saying that dogs are just like mundane, so therefore we take the agnostic position, where example, like a God claim is extraordinary. So therefore we take the null position. And my question for you is, where exactly do we draw the line where something is just agnostic versus automatically null?
And like I say, it's that background supporting evidence. So I would take the null position with you having a dog, except that I know all of these. I have all of these. No, I would probably take you at your word, but but I have no reason to take anyone at their word for any God claims.
Right. My question still remains unanswered, is how do we figure out when something is like the agnostic, when the default is agnostic versus the default being the null? And I think if the default in a lot of these claims is like super problematic, right? Because if we take the position that a thing does not exist, if we take a position that a thing does not exist until we have undeniable evidence that it's proven to exist, then we'd have no reason to investigate said thing.
I mean, there's always reason to investigate.
Let me give an example, right? Let's say 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years, somebody like said to claim that Saturn wasn't a star, it was actually an actual planet, right? And everybody's just like, it's absolutely not. And then they know for a fact, they're saying it does not exist as a planet. There'd be no reason to investigate it being a planet. But if we say, I don't know, maybe it is, then we have a reason to investigate. Agnostic would be the best
Sure.
position there, not the null position. And that would be an extraordinary claim at that time period.
I don't. Okay, so whether you accept a claim at face value to me has nothing to do with whether it's worth investigating or not.
I'm not asking if you accept it at face value. I'm asking what is the most logical or most rational position to take when given new information. And I think the null hypothesis is one of the worst ones because it doesn't give you a rational. You're irrational to investigate it if you say it doesn't exist.
I disagree.
Will make that make sense to me.
You can, like, okay. So first of all, I want to clear up some definitions here because you're using agnostic in a different way than I would.
Agnostic by definition, either it's not known or cannot be known.
Right. So I tend to think of agnostic as the question of knowability, not the question of whether it's known.
But that is the definition of agnostic. By definition, is it's not known or it cannot be known. That's when you say the agnostic position. So either I don't know or it cannot be known.
Well, which I'm saying, I'm saying of those two, those are two very different possibilities. So I tend to use the word only on one of those possibilities, not the other, because there's no need to call yourself agnostic with something if you're just saying that you don't know right now, but that it is knowable. You know
what?
So I don't consider myself agnostic on most things just for that reason, unless I have a reason to believe that it is unknowable.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. I don't understand your contention. Agnosticism is like it's not known or it cannot be known. So, for example, if I tell you I have a dog, you can say I don't know if he has the dog. You be agnostic, or you could say like why does 2 + 2 = 4? You say I don't know, and it's not knowable. It's just axiomatically true.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess that's just like a difference in usage then, but I'm not gonna say I'm agnostic to something unless I think it's unknowable, right? That's just not something I'm gonna claim because I don't want to confuse people, right?
I still don't understand what you mean by. Can you give me your definition of agnosticism? What are you using?
So, not the question of Gnostic versus agnostic is the question of whether a thing is knowable or not knowable.
Uh-huh.
So I would consider myself, Gnostic. I would take the Gnostic position on whether or not you have a dog, because I believe that it's knowable whether you have a dog or not. So I would not call myself agnostic for that.
So,
nor would I call myself agnostic on a religious topic either, because I do think it's knowable. I just don't think it's the case. I am not convinced that it's the case, that there are any gods.
So Gnostic is just, they're a Gnostic and agnostic. I had to double check, but I wasn't sure. But agnostic and agnostic are not antitheses of each other, right? Agnostic is just knowledge, right? And agnostic is saying, I don't know or cannot be known. So like agnostic is not making a claim of knowledge. It just is knowledge. It's relating to knowledge, especially esoteric or mystical knowledge, or an inherent to agnosticism. One of those two.
Okay. But the claim, I feel like the claim being made there is not a question of knowledge, but a question of knowability, which are two different things.
Right. So agnostic,
anyway.
If you say you're agnostic, you say, I don't know, or it cannot be known.
Yeah. And I'm usually, when I say agnostic, I mean only that it cannot be known, not that I don't know. Right.
Okay. So let me just ask you, yes, no, or I don't know. Does God exist?
I would say I don't know.
Okay, so then you're just taking the agnostic state, which again I think is based, right? Like I know you disagree.
Really,
I know you disagree. I know you disagree with the term of agnostic, but I'm talking colloquially. You're just taking the agnostic viewpoint, right? I'm just talking about the referent of what you're saying. So if it's yes, no, I don't know. I think I don't know is based. I think it's when you say no, I think there's a problem. And when I'm talking about atheism, I'm talking
Well,
about the
I'm
people who
not
say
taking
no.
the strong atheist position. I'm taking the weak atheist position, where I am not convinced of any of the theistic claims.
Yeah, so lack theism is an incoherent position.
No, it's not. Not
Yes,
at
it
all.
is.
It
Yeah,
is the
absolutely it is.
default position scientifically.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
Agnosticism is
If
the
I-
default position.
No.
Lack theism is incoherent because theism, right, is a positive claim. And then atheism is the negative claim, right? It's the antithesis to theism. And then all you're saying is, I have a lack theism, right? I have the lower version of atheism, which I cannot see an ontological difference between that and the traditional viewpoint of agnosticism.
Okay. Well, I was trying to explain to you the difference, but
Okay, so what from the traditional viewpoint, not your own made up version, what is the difference between lack theism and the traditional viewpoint of agnosticism?
I wouldn't call that the traditional, but I guess by your definition there is no difference. But I would be
agnostic,
Go
a
on.
person who believes that nothing is known or can be known of the existence of nature, of God, of anything beyond material phenomena, a person who claims neither faith or disbelief, a person who has uncertain or non-committal attitude towards something, believing that nothing is known or can be known, or having uncertain non-committal attitude towards something. So yeah, so
Sure.
it is saying
So
I
if
don't
that-
know. So again,
if that or in the definition is inclusive and not exclusive, then that's the same definition that I'm using.
so no, it's not a person. So I gave multiple definitions, right? So a person that is uncertain or not committal towards an attitude towards something, or a person that believes nothing is known or can be known.
So that to me sounds like does not believe that it is known and does not believe that it cannot be known.
So
That
it can be used
does
in the
not
sense
believe it can be known.
it can be used in the sense
What?
of something cannot be known, like we cannot know. Like for example, we'll never know why 2 + 2 = 4. It just does, right? But there are things that's something we cannot know. So we have to take an agnostic position on why 2 + 2 = 4. But then it also takes on the things of like we don't know. For example, you don't know if I have a dog. You'd have to take an agnostic position.
Okay, sure. I'll accept. That's why I wanted to mention it, because I'll accept that based on your usage of the word. But yeah.
Okay, so then what is the ontological difference between lack theism and agnosticism?
I guess there is none, but I would still use the definition of not convinced of any God claims to be the definition of atheist. And then if you want to
It's
take
just
the
the
more strong position,
but all that is just like this arbitrary, like kind of like I want to take on this title of like atheist, but then you're not actually holding to the traditional viewpoint. So for example, Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy wrote a whole article about why that cannot be the position, because then it's incoherent. It doesn't make any sense, right? Especially in the form of like atheist being the antithesis to theist, right? It's just adding on more ways of saying agnostic.
okay, I'll have to check that out. But in either case, I'm still. I would not take this position in a debate, but I am convinced that there are no gods, and most of what's convinced me is that position explains just about everything that we see around us. Or I'm not going to say just about. It explains everything that we see around us better than any of the God claims can.
Okay, make the argument.
Okay. So which God claim are we talking about?
just the max making property being. So a being with unbound power. You're proving to me that being doesn't exist.
So just a being with unbound power.
Yep.
Okay, that's okay, so what do you mean by unbound power? That sounds like a shaky kind of thing from a logical perspective.
Yeah, it means that there are no arbitrary or ad hoc bounds to this being. This being can do all things within the realm of power.
Okay. So that's not something that we would expect to see based on our knowledge of physics. Everything in physics, power is usually limited. It is a limited resource in our universe.
What are you talking about?
That seems unreasonable to accept that claim.
Physics tells us that energy cannot be created or destroyed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know how that's making your argument. And also, you're kind of begging the question because you're stating that in physics,
well, okay, so
you're begging the question because in physics, it's a bounded thing that we're using to measure it. And so you're saying, I see a bounded thing, therefore there's not an unbounded thing.
No, I'm saying I'm saying I see a bounded thing, and I would need some extraordinary evidence to expect that.
Define extraordinary evidence.
Something convincing, very convincing.
Convincing is subjective. What's convincing to me is not convincing to you. So can you define extraordinary evidence?
Sure.
Because I'm convinced God exists.
Okay. And do you have good reasons for that?
Yes, I believe I do have good reasons for that.
Okay. I would be willing to bet that your reasons are not actually good reasons when they're
That's why
examined.
I said it's subjective, because you are not going to be convinced by it. I am convinced by it.
Sure.
Right? What is convincing is subjective. The question is, do you have the three pillars? Do you have the knowledge, belief, and a justification? I think I do have those three pillars. Now, you're probably going to argue that the justification is not justifiable enough to you. And then we're going to get into like why it's not for you. And then I'm going to be checking your priors and why you're there. And I bet you I'm going to find inconsistencies in your priors. But that's not the question at hand. The question at hand is, what is your argument for atheism? And if all it is like, I'm not convinced of your argument.
For what I see around me, the problems that come up with religious claims disappear when you say, but what if this thing just doesn't exist at all?
But you're just saying it's the best explanation. You got to give me an argument for that.
Okay. Well, so it's going to depend on the specific thing. So let's take, do you believe that God can control the weather?
Yeah, I believe he has unbound power. That's the definition I gave.
Right. That's why I figured you would say yes to that.
Yeah.
So, could God have created a universe that did not have natural disasters in it?
Yes.
Okay. So why didn't he?
How is this an argument? That's a question.
It's a question that points out that the inconsistency in your claim of a being that's all powerful and all omnibenevolent. Those two things don't go well together with the evidence.
What standard are you using to measure omnibenevolence?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So it's not a claim that I'm making, right?
You said that the atheism is the best explanation, and I asked you to make an argument, and you said because God did natural disasters. Like even if I granted,
that's one
like,
of the many. That's one of the many things.
But here's the thing: I didn't originally make my statement that this God had the omnibenevolent property. I just said that this God has unbound power. It could very well be possible that this God simply just wound the clock and let it go, and we ended up like a deism type of view, and we ended up with natural disasters.
Right, and that's probably the only kind of God claim I could even begin to accept is something like that.
It's still not an argument for atheism.
I just don't accept the claims that you make with regard to
Okay, well, watch
the
this.
existence of a God.
Watch this. I don't accept the claims that you make in regards to the non-existence of a God. I lack the belief that there is no God.
Right, and that's where it becomes helpful that my position is the default scientific position.
It's
whereas
not the
your
default scientific position.
Okay, justify that, please.
Yeah, the default scientific position is I don't know. That's why everything is a theory in science.
Okay, so if I take the default of I don't know.
Yeah, I have no problem with people saying I don't know. My issue is when people say
Okay.
no, right? So if you say no, there is no God, okay, make your argument, make your case.
All right, so you're clearly only arguing against the strong atheist position, which
There is no such thing as a weak
you're-
atheist position. It's equivalent to
is.
agnosticism. You guys just want to wear the atheist hat to feel cool, but there is no ontological difference between the weak atheism and agnosticism.
Okay, that doesn't make my position incorrect. Whatever you call it.
I don't know is not a position.
Yes, it is. How is it not a
Okay,
position?
make an argument for I don't know.
I haven't seen enough evidence to be convinced of the thing, and
That's
I
not an
have no
argument.
way of
That's a statement of
Yes.
being. That's not an argument.
Excuse me?
You're just stating what you've experienced. That's not an argument. I have not seen enough evidence. I have seen enough evidence. Okay, now where are we? We haven't gone anywhere, have we?
Okay. So what's your evidence then, and I'll refute it.
Yo, you're going to tell me I'm not convinced of it. That's what I'm trying to say.
No,
Is
I'm
that-
going to tell you. I'm going to tell you I'm not convinced of it.
That's exactly what I said. You're going to tell me you're not convinced of it. That's what I'm saying. It's arbitrary and ad hoc by saying something that's going to convince me. Okay, what convinces you might not convince me. This is why we have flat earthers. They're not convinced that there's enough evidence the earth is round.
Sure, but a big part of that is ignoring the evidence that exists, right?
I don't think they ignore it. I think they have hypothesis to explain
they
that evidence.
absolutely ignore it and lie
They
about
don't.
it.
They don't ignore it. They have hypothesis. So, for example, they'll say that the reason that we have pictures that the Earth is round is because NASA composites. Hold on.
God doesn't fit into my rational worldview. I am only a meat skeleton powered by electricity-controlled gelatin that creates thoughts, existing on a rock flying through an endless void that came from nothing. Atheism.
So yeah, they would say that their hypothesis is that NASA composites a bunch of pictures together to make it look round, which is not entirely false because they can't get a satellite far enough away to take a picture of the Earth. The only time when we did that was when we were at the moon. So they do have to composite those pictures together. I don't think their hypothesis works good, but they're convinced of different standards of evidence. They're not just completely ignoring things. There's entire groups of people that are dedicated to like looking at this information and trying to rip it apart to tell us the Earth is flat. I think they're wrong too. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, I'm convinced, you're convinced, they're convinced is an irrational position to hold because everybody's convinced by different standards.
Well, part of why I'm doing this is to refine my ideas of what is reasonable in a scientific sense.
Yeah, so something is reasonable. Something is reasonable if it has a belief, a knowledge, and a justification. If you have those three things, then it's reasonable to hold. What I'm asking you for right now is you have a belief and a knowledge. I'm asking for your justification.
So I'm trying to figure out what's going to constitute justification for you.
So an example of belief, knowledge, and justification. I believe there's a way to cross the river. I'm going to explore that and see if there's a way to do it. Start exploring. Somebody tells me that there's a bridge to do so. Now I have knowledge about that bridge. Now I go and see the bridge and I'll walk across the bridge. I'm now justified to believe that I can cross the river.
Okay. So the thing
And-
that comes to mind for me
So
for that is
let me land a plane there real quick, because I just had a new thought. And to a negative of that, right? I have a belief there is no way to cross the river, right? I explore the river. I talk to people. People tell me there's no way to cross the river. I examine the entirety of the river. I see no way to cross the river. This is now a negative, right? There is no way to cross the river, and I have a belief, a knowledge, and a justification for that.
Yes, but I'm going to argue that in that case, the proper scientific thing to do would be to try to cross the river. And then if you can't, then you have justified yourself in believing that you can't.
Right.
Right?
So I'm asking for a justification towards atheism here. What is the justified reason to say that there is no God? Because I believe you have the belief in the knowledge, right? I believe that you've seen certain things that could point you in a certain direction. I'm asking for like, where's that leap? Where's that justification to say God does not exist?
So I'm going to say I will definitely take the I don't know position on the existence of God within a certain limited, basically, God of the gaps kind of view. Like I cannot for certain say that there was not that there doesn't exist an all powerful being without any other attributes.
Okay.
I can say I don't know with the idea of a very powerful being that created the universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that in order to accept that as a position, I would have to accept, like, I can't accept that an all-powerful being created the universe until I accept that being exists. And I have no reason to.
Yeah, that's fine. Like again, I have no issue with somebody saying I have not been convinced, therefore I don't know. Right?
So just with your basic claim of being with maximal power, I think that's even less than what you're claiming. But because, like I say, I think
I don't understand your contention. What was it?
So with just the claim, so you're talking about does God exist? It's hard to answer that question without a specific God claim, right? Because if you want me to give justification for the existence of specific properties of any given God, right?
Well, I'm just talking
then
about.
I can do
I'm
that,
just talking
but
about
God
a being
in general.
A being with unbound power, right? So that's all I'm at this point. Now, I'm willing to specify specifically towards the Christian God, but yeah, at this point, I think we both agree that, or I think we both agree that your position would be like, I don't know if this being exists.
Okay.
Are we on board with that?
Sure, but that doesn't. That's because it doesn't affect anything in my purview, right? I have no way of testing this claim, and
well, I think I think
very unlikely.
I think there are ways to test this, right? And I think like one of the best ways to kind of look at this would be like fine tuning a contingency. Those would be like the two arguments I'd say would be.
Fine tuning is a garbage argument, but go ahead.
Why is it garbage?
It's garbage because you're first of all, the universe isn't fine tuned for human beings anyway. Means.
You've already lost the fine tune. That's not the fine tuning argument.
Okay, what is the fine tuning argument?
The fine tuning argument is that it's fine tuned for a life to exist at all, not specifically just for human beings.
Right, and so I would disagree with that based on how so it's hard to positively disagree with any of the fine-tuning arguments because they assume changeability in things that we have no evidence that they can be changed.
Right.
Like you're talking about.
So
you're talking about like universal constants.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So no, you've already got it wrong again because it's not talking about what metaphysically is
Okay.
possible to change. It's talking about what's logically possible to change. That's something when people say the fine tuning argument is garbage. This is usually the argument that they come back with is like, how do you know the parameters could be different at all in the first place? Because they logically
Okay, so
can be different.
The fine tuning arguments I have heard are from typically creationist arguments and especially the old Earth intelligent design creationists. Those are the arguments I've heard. So clearly you're talking about something different. So give me the fine tuning.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is you have a misunderstanding, right? So for example, people do bring up that aspect of like the strong nuclear forces in a certain parameter, and which you argue, well, how do you know it could be any different? Because it logically can. Now you're arguing metaphysically it might not be able to. Fine. But then our argument comes to be, why is this our ad hoc principle that stops it metaphysically at these parameters rather than a different parameter? That's the argument. So it's not the question of like what's metaphysically possible. It's a question of what's logically possible.
Okay, except that what are you saying that the universe is fine tuned for? You're saying for life in particular?
It's fine tuned for the possibility of life. Yes.
The possibility of life. Okay. So how long do you think it takes for life to start?
How long does it take to start? I don't know.
Okay. So there was one of the latest Veritasium videos that came out was useful with this. The YouTube channel called Veritasium.
Never heard of him.
It's worth checking out. It's good. He's a good science communicator, but he was talking about abiogenesis specifically in his last video, and how evolution gets started and why it does the things it does when it gets started. And I thought that was particularly instructive. But one of the interesting things, and this is something that I knew prior to seeing this video, but the idea that these molecules can self-assemble, but it takes a long time, and the statistics are there for it to happen, but only in a large amount of time.
Right. I don't know what you're arguing against here.
What I'm arguing is that if the universe were fine-tuned for life to exist, that it wouldn't take that.
Why?
There would be things. Why wouldn't there be things in the universe that already exist that can combine, or just, the Christian viewpoint of life poofing into existence from nothing?
You're not making an argument. You're just saying, I think it'd be better.
Yes, I am.
What's the argument?
Okay, so I need to know what your argument is in order to argue against it. So what is your fine-tuning argument?
Yeah, the
exactly?
fine-tuning argument is that the universe has a certain amount of parameters that's finely tuned to allow for life to come into existence. So this would be like the strong nuclear force, the gravitational constant, the speed of light. If any of these things were slightly off in the grand scheme of what numbers they could be, we would not have the possibility of life. Either it would implode upon itself or separate so far and so much that nothing would actually, like planets wouldn't exist and life wouldn't exist at all.
Okay. And how do you know that? How do you know that life wouldn't exist in a universe with alternately tuned parameters?
Because if the gravitational pull was stronger, everything would implode on itself, and therefore there'd be nothing for life to exist on. If it was weaker, nothing would form into planets, so there'd be nothing for life to exist on.
Life as we know it, right? So you're saying that there's no other possible kind of life that could exist in that kind of environment?
Not that we are aware of how life comes into existence. And if it can exist in that type of environment, if it can exist in that type of environment, then it's going to throw away all of our understanding of how life comes into existence or how life works.
Okay.
So if you want to bite that bullet, that's fine. But then you got to throw away pretty much the entire scientific method as we understand it.
I disagree, but I also don't think the fine tuning argument is necessary for the existence. Like, do you believe that the universe being fine tuned is necessary for life to have started? That's because that's
No.
not what it sounds like you're saying.
No.
Okay, so why make the argument in the
Well, I don't think
beginning?
it's necessary because I believe God exists. You don't believe God exists. So you'd have to make an argument how it necessarily could have been different.
Well, the easy argument there is that evolution selects life that works in the environment that it's in.
Okay. Do you have any idea or standard of how evolution can form life in a vacuum?
Yes. Well, okay, not in a vacuum, but in the conditions that the early Earth was in.
Right, which is what we're arguing for. That it's finely tuned that we'd end up with a early form of Earth that would allow for life.
I still don't see why that's necessary.
I didn't say it was necessary because I believe in God. Therefore, I think God could have done it differently. You don't believe in God.
And I'm not convinced it could have been done differently at all.
So then
Not
you're
that
arguing for
anything was
necessity.
done.
Then you have to make the argument. Then you're saying it's necessary that it has to be the way that it is. And why? Why is it necessarily true? You're going to say that the
No,
universe...
I don't believe I don't believe it necessarily has to be the way that it is. That's my point.
Well, that's literally what you just said 2 seconds ago. What are you talking about? You just said, I don't think it could have been different.
I don't have any reason to think that any of the parameters that are fixed could have been fixed in a different way than they are right
Then
now.
that's necessary.
That's a different thing.
If
than
it cannot
saying-
be different, then it's necessary.
No, that's not true.
Yes, that
Why
is
is
what
it necess-
definition,
why
that
is
is
it
the definition of
necessary if it couldn't
necessary.
be different?
If it cannot be
Why-
different, it's necessarily true. That is the definition of necessity. It has to be
Okay.
that way. So like a triangle is necessarily 3 sides and 3 corners. If it was anything else, it wouldn't be a triangle. So if you're saying that the speed of light has to necessarily be what it is, then it cannot be any different. Or if it cannot be any different, then it has to be necessarily the way it is.
So I feel like we're not getting anywhere with this.
Well, I'm still waiting for the argument.
My argument is that life will form when it has the ability to and will suit itself to the environment that it's in.
I agree. Life will form when it has the ability to, and the universe is finely tuned in a way to give it the ability to.
Okay, so why do you need that extra
I'm not adding
proclamation on top of it?
extra. It's literally what you said. I'm just expanding on what that means. You said life will form when it has the ability to. I agree. Life will form when it has the ability to. And right now the
Okay.
universe is
So
tuned
then
to give it the ability.
Then that negates your argument that the universe is fine-tuned for life, because
How does that negate my
that
argument?
means
Oh my God.
because
thank
it
God.
means
I
that
appreciate your time, bro. God bless.
I would like to talk about a historic moment.
Okay.
Major John didn't know he had to turn on gifts to maybe get a membership. He just turned it on, and then Mitt sent 10 more memberships, and he got it on the first one.
That's so based. That's so based. All right, let's do some super chats and then we'll jump into the next guest. You take the null position when the burden of proof is not met. No, you don't. We already did this one. Mitzrayim, thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships. Daniel Clark also sending in 5. Thank you so much, Daniel Clark. Stepping up to being another member of holding down this channel. If soda pop becomes flat when it loses carbonation and Earth is mostly made of water and not carbonated, it shut up. Shut up. That's good. Totino's pizza rolls exist, yet we still debate God. Hey, you're not wrong. Time works against abiogenesis. I don't know about that. Maybe. Mitzrayim came in with another 10 gifted memberships. Appreciate you, Mitzrayim. You are definitely goated. Appreciate you. Oh, yeah, I have you muted.
That's hurtful.
Yeah, well, you deserved it.
Why?
You deserved it.
What did I do?
You deserved it.
What did I do?
You deserved it.
Tell me why.
You don't need to know why. You just need
I
to know.
do.
You just need to accept my authority in this household. All right?
I want to know why.
Well, I just unmuted you so you can entertain them.
Why did I get muted? That's rude.
Now you can entertain them while you use the washroom.
That's rude. Now's a great time to ask questions about John because I'm mad at him. I'm looking at the shorts channel. I don't actually think the shorts is too bad today. Show the birdie. I'm almost done. I think I'll wait till it's done. Well, yeah, I'm gonna wait. Because I'm almost done. Blink twice if you need help. I'm fine. I'm fine. He's pretty good. What's John's most embarrassing story? Fun story. I don't know. That's the one secret. That's the one secret he has from me. He's too embarrassed to tell me, so I don't even know his most embarrassing story.
It's true. And no one will ever know. No one will ever know.
Major John, that's so exciting.
Also,
So happy for you.
Somebody mentioned last time about a non-invasive way on YouTube that I can introduce a dono bar, so to speak. What was that way? I don't know. Somebody said you could do it on YouTube. Apparently Jim Bob does it, where it's like a non-invasive way than just having like a big old like dono bar on the screen. It was Gabe. Does anybody know how
Daniel,
to do it?
it is for when his future self comes to
Super
visit.
chat goals? Abby, is there a button for like super chat goals there?
There's a money. No, that's to send money. Doesn't look like it.
Can you Google how to set that? And then try to figure that. That's a job for you right now. You can Google how to set it and then maybe like set a goal that we could try to achieve. Because we do have a certain standard that we need to reach every month to be able to continue to do this. So it might be good to set that in there. And then once we hit that, then we're pretty solid. We don't need much more than that. Everything up more than that would be a bonus. All right, let's bring up the next guest. Oh, I might actually.
I did it.
You did it?
Yeah.
You figured it out?
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Start a goal. 10? 10 an amount?
Yeah,
of
we'd
super
want to
chats?
do an amount because let's see if we want to be able to survive. Let me do the math real quick. What do we do? Live 3 times a week? These lives? The other ones, anything on the other ones, I consider a bonus. That's just for you guys. But on this is the job. So we go. Wow, I didn't know it was that much. That's our goal. If we want to be able to.
Well, why don't we make it a small goal for now?
Well, they do it in American, so that makes up a difference too. So most of you guys do American, and I think it's do it 300 because I don't want to put that number on there. That just feels a little too much to ask, but that is what we need to live. And that American money goes way further in Canada. So it's like not as much like, yeah.
So then do all the colors count of super chats?
Do all the colors count?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why wouldn't they?
Well,
I'm
so
confused.
so I can set how many and then which ones count towards that.
All of them. All the colors, yeah. Timer. 3 hours.
Well, only one more hour for now.
Okay, so 1 hour. Is there an amount? Or it's just
the amount of super chats.
Oh. Okay. Well, we could do that, I guess, for now.
We'll just see what happens.
We'll try it. Axel, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Good evening. Yeah, 34.
All right, bro. There's no good reason to be atheist. Prove me wrong. Go ahead.
All right, so first I want to kind of move away from some of the things that some of the previous guests were kind of arguing, trying to prove, like, I'm atheist because it's true, yada yada. I find it to be a little bit unproductive. It's like, trying to bring scientific arguments to more of a metaphysical argument, which kind of ends up going in a roundabout way.
Okay.
My argumentation for it is more political. I base
Political?
my
Okay.
basically. Are you familiar with the Russian philosopher Mikhail Alexandrovich Bakunin?
No.
So he was a 19th century anarchist and famous atheist. And his argumentation basically makes the claim
The
that
19th or
if
18th?
you 19th, so 1800s.
So this would be like the Enlightenment area of
Yeah,
philosophy.
he was to put it into a time frame. He was a student of Hegel.
I think I do know who you're talking about, actually. But go ahead.
So basically, his argumentation is that if you are a person that basically believes in things like liberty and equality and prosperity, fraternity, then the notion of God doesn't really match with that. If you're talking about a God that is necessarily this eternal, supreme, absolute master, then that places men as slaves. Therefore, all of those things could not exist unless if that God wishes for those things to exist, then that God would then make himself not exist. And then he ends his argument by basically claiming that, well, reversing Voltaire's claim by saying that if God did exist, then it would be necessary to abolish him.
I think just intuitively right off the bat, I think it's a category error.
How so?
Because I think it puts God in the same category as us. For example, like we believe in liberty between humans, but not between like us and fish. Or equality. Yeah. Like equality.
Yeah,
Sorry,
well,
I didn't mean libertarian, I meant equality.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Again, that's also something that, well, first off, like, yeah, that is something that is, especially when you consider the time that it was written, what I'm about to claim is not something that he was particularly thinking about, but it is something that later scholars do talk about, especially when you start talking about post-humanism, which is that already that notion of separating man from nature and man from other living beings is already something that that ends up being flawed and creates an anthropocentric nature, like an anthropocentric view of the world, which ends up creating which ends up creating problems in the way that we relate to nature and so forth and so on. So that would be a counter argument to that claim. Now, in the case of Bakunin, because that's not something that he particularly thought about, this was the 1800s. But when we're talking about God, the notion is that even the thought of thinking of God as being this supreme being that is different from us does not change the fact that it would still place something above us and therefore not allow us to actually have any true liberty.
Yeah, I'm okay with that conclusion. I'm okay with biting that bullet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, but again, this is just my argumentation for giving a good reason to be an atheist. And mine is that if you are a believer of having complete non-domination, having complete liberty and equality, then you have to reject the notion of God.
This is more atheism as in like anarchism, right? Where it's like it rejects a certain ideal rather than the truth of it. So like anarchism wouldn't say that, democracy doesn't exist. They'd say, I prefer a world without democracy. It seems like you're making the argument that it's like not atheism is the truth claim, but I would prefer a world that's atheistic.
I mean, yeah, but in the sense of like, how do I put this? It's not so much a more prefer, it's more like, I mean, it's more like a little bit stronger than prefer, I guess you could say, because if you're looking, it's more like if you're looking at the world in an anarchistic view, and you see the way that the world is structured, and you see the problems with it, then you come up with the eventual conclusion of, well, the way to solve these things would be anarchism. So it's not so much of a
just one sec, Jordan. Jordan, do you want to come up and explain what you're saying in the chat? That might be better. Jordan, a friend of mine, very knowledgeable. He says that if God exists, he is the true liberty, and uniting with him would be the ultimate liberty. So let's see if he wants to come up and elaborate on that. But at the end of the day, again, I'd be okay with biting this bullet because it doesn't really refute his existence. But let's see what Jordan has to say. Sup, bro? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a bad argument. It's just assuming that liberty is actually like, I guess, being able to do whatever you want to. But ideally, if God is the ultimate being and he's the ultimate source of liberty, whatever he designs for our nature would actually be the most freeing thing. And being able to unite with him as the ultimate source of liberty would give you actual like liberty. So it's just confused as to what liberty means.
Right. So my counter argument to that would be that I don't understand what you mean by God being the ultimate liberty, since God gives commandments, right? Now those commandments are not something that are agreed upon. Like it's not like, God asked humanity, hey, are these good? Like you want to do these? They were commandments,
Yeah,
right?
he doesn't have to ask if he
And
knows what's good.
yeah,
Like
but that's
I don't have to ask a child if it's good to eat vegetables. Like we
yeah, but
know it's good.
that's a
That's why I
notion. Yeah, but that's
suggest
a
that you
notion.
eat vegetables.
Yeah, but I reject that form of authority. Like, there's a difference between like if you like take if you ask an engineer to build a bridge, right?
Hmm.
You can go to ask an engineer how to build a bridge. An engineer will tell you. You might disagree with an engineer. You can go to another engineer, get another opinion on that. The same thing goes for a doctor. You eventually acknowledge the authority of that doctor or that engineer based on credentials, based on experience, based on that sort of thing, right? In the case of God, that's not how that works, right? Like you just said, like oh well, he knows. Well,
Yeah, I mean, it's logically true that if God exists, he knows all true propositions and he knows exactly how he designed us and he knows exactly how we're sustained. So he would know
right,
exactly what's right for us. So
right,
it's like,
which implies that according to that being, then there needs to be a hierarchy between a creator and everyone else. But I
yeah,
already
but that
reject
has
that
nothing
notion
to
as
do with
being
liberty.
yeah. But if that's the case, and I see that as already being inherently oppressive, then why would I take that? Like, why would I
How is
take
that
any other thing
oppressive?
that
So
I
what's your
see any
definition of
kind of
oppressive?
I see most hierarchies are as oppressive
No,
already.
no, what's the definition of oppressive though for you?
I mean, anything that is already based, anything that bases itself on domination or exploitation is oppressive.
So how is God like, for domination, you mean like just what?
Dominion,
Having control?
having dominion over someone.
Like control?
Yes, in a way, yes.
So just because somebody has control over you, like, in what
That
way do
is
you think God
oppressive,
has
yes.
control over us?
I mean, there are commandments. It is already as
Can we
it is
break the
already described as being.
commandments?
Oh yeah, and what are the uh what are the what are the consequences of breaking commandments
Self-destruction?
according to?
Christianity?
Mhm. So this implies that you follow that. Now, beyond that, there's
That's
also
like
the
me
notion
putting
of
a hold on,
if
that's
you.
like me putting a sign at like a swimming pool saying no diving 2 feet deep. And then when
No, it's
somebody
more
dives,
like
they just break
it.
their neck.
No,
Like that's
it's
not
more like
it's not my fault.
a more accurate example of this would be, well, the state, right? So governments make laws, right? You follow those laws. Now, some of those you might agree with, some of those you might not agree with, right? However, you must follow those laws. You break that law, you face repercussions from the state, whether it be going to prison, whether it be getting the shit kicked out
Yeah,
of you
but
by.
that doesn't mean that's how God works though.
Well, I mean, there's heaven and hell,
You're
isn't there?
just assuming that God, yeah, heaven and hell is both God's love.
Uh,
I
I
think you have
mean,
a confused notion of what Christianity is.
no, man. I mean,
Like
I'm
even the
also.
person who made this argument, if he's Russian, then he had a confused argument of what Christianity is, because they go based off of like Russian, like off of Eastern Orthodoxy, and in Eastern
Yeah,
Orthodoxy, like it explains all of that stuff.
yeah, and I
So
come
it's just
from
a confused notion of what liberty is. Like you think just because I do something bad and there's a bad consequence to it, that all of a
no,
sudden that's
see,
God
because
forcing
no,
that to
but then
happen.
you have to get into the notion of what is bad, right? Like it really like then you start getting into like who defines what is considered bad, what is considered a sin, what is not considered a sin, right? Like there are some things that we already as a society, and this doesn't mean that it is objectively true that something is bad or not, but as a society we have agreed of certain things being bad, regardless of religion or not, right? Like killing people, it is one of the commandments, and also within
Say
other forms of
unalive.
sorry, my bad, unalive, right? Um, it is one of the commandments. It is also something that in many parts of the world, through other forms of philosophy, other religions, have also come to that agreement that that is something you shouldn't do, right? However, there are also things that are considered sinning that in other cultures and other philosophies are not considered sinning.
What does that have to do
So
with the
that
truth of it?
well, if sinning is one of the things that is bad in religion, right? And you don't agree that something is a sin, but you still are under the threat of being punished by like eternal fire,
Yeah, that just means
then
that you're wrong about whether it's a sin or not. That has nothing to do with like anything else. Like if I'm under the impression that I can breathe underwater and then I go in a pool and try to breathe underwater, that doesn't mean I'm oppressed by the water. That just means I do something against my nature and I end up suffering from that.
Side note,
right.
side note, Jordan's talking from experience.
Uh, right. So if yeah, but this like you're basically implying that that if you sin and you get punished for it, then that means that that the sin itself was bad to begin with, right? But I'm
No, I'm
rejecting
just
that
saying that you
statement.
just think that is punishment when that's honestly just what ends up happening when you do something dumb. Like if I try and drive a
Right.
car
So if
underwater, that's not the purpose of it. I'm destroying its nature. Like I can't get mad
right.
at the
So
car
if I'm
for not being a submarine.
so okay, so if someone is protesting against a let's say a totalitarian state, right?
Well, you
And
love
it's somebody
politics.
I mean, I said I was going to make. I'm coming from a
Yeah, yeah, I know.
political
I'm
like
just
argumentation
saying.
here. Yeah. Like, and then the state brings a bunch of cops to beat the shit out of you for like,
Hmm.
protesting against that totalitarian state. Does that mean that the consequences for your actions were justified?
What does that have to do with God? See, that's why I'm asking. Like, why are you bringing this up?
Because
Because
you
it's
made
confused. If you're using
no no
politics,
no
which
no
is
you
already
made the
something
claim.
that's inherently like human created, then you're gonna run into a lot of bad analogies. And right now, you're just using bad analogies that have nothing to
No,
do
because
with God.
I'm following your train of thought from going from my point
No,
of
you're
like
just using
if you sin,
examples that don't work, that aren't the same. Like, if you want to use
those
an
are
example, use something that has to do with like. Well, I use correct examples, but I don't know. You keep wanting
no
to go to these.
you use drowning and then you use drowning, but
Yeah, because
that
that's against your nature.
right, which that means that you're implying that going against God is against your nature, which I reject that notion.
That's like a logical truth because God created you with your actual nature and knows what your nature can and can't do. Like the fact that you have a nature or substance means that your existence is limited in a way that's limited by that actual
But if I'm
substance
also
that you have.
but if I'm also rejecting the existence of God, then that by extension means I'm also rejecting the fact like the what rejecting the notion that God
Yeah,
created
but
me,
you're rejecting the
right?
existence based off of this argument that's already flawed. That's what I'm saying. Like you can't just say, "Oh yeah, I already don't believe there's a God, so I'm going to use this argument that entails that there's not a God."
But the
But I'm
but
using this argument to not
even with my
believe in
argument,
God.
my argument is also making the point that if God exists and God is this is a Lord is in we are in the king and like he is the King of Kings, he is the all knowing, he is the eternal Master, right?
Mhm.
That means that already there is that within like the relation between God and his creation is is a master slave relation, and I'm saying that I'm rejecting that as someone that believes in
But
equality and
but does fish's relation with water a master slave relationship?
no, but neither is humanity's relation with oxygen.
Right.
Like it's just dependent on it by nature. That doesn't mean you're automatically a slave. Like literally the whole purpose of Jesus is to free us from slavery and to make us sons, like children of God. We're slaves because we do the sins, which actually takes away our liberty. People think that sinning increases your liberty, but it actually doesn't, because it destroys your nature. And when your nature is destroyed, you can do less of what that nature was entailed to do.
Right, but how can you
That's a
free
bar.
someone? How can you free someone by then also subjugating them?
What do you mean subjugating them?
The
How is
relation is
God
still there,
subjugating
right?
you?
The relation is still there. It is still a master and servant relationship.
You're just saying just because we're dependent on something, we're now slaves.
If you have a
That's why
if you
John
have a
brought up the
relationship,
oxygen.
yeah, but I don't think that's a necessarily equivalent like example,
Well,
right?
are children
Like
are children
oxygen,
slaves to parents?
yes. But there is a
Based.
social
Let's
contract
let's
within that.
have Abby. Let's have like 700 kids, and we'll just have a bunch of slaves. Like that is base. Like I'm gonna build things. I'm gonna start a farm, and like bro, it's gonna be sick. I'm gonna have
Hey, 100 years ago, that would have been pretty normal.
Might have been a
But I
little bit
mean,
more than
it's
100.
yeah. I mean, 100 might be a little bit. I don't know about the logistics about that.
Yeah, I
But I
don't. So
mean,
your definition of
with,
slave is just that you depend on something.
no, it has to do with also the power dynamics of it, and it's like, like for example, there's a difference between um, agreeing to someone's authority, right, consensually, as opposed to kind of being forced into
wait.
someone's authority.
How do you agree to someone's authority consensually? Because if you agree to it consensually, then everything they have authority over to you, you have to consistently consent to. And if at any point you revoke your consent, you remove their authority. So by definition, they
Yeah,
actually don't have any authority over you. You cannot, by definition, consent to have someone having authority over you.
I mean, this is where you get into the degrees of like argumentation for different systems of government. I mean, I agree with
I mean,
you
even
in the
if you
sense that like,
consent to it, like, what does that have to do with God having like quote unquote authority? Like, how are you consenting to his authority if you choose to go to hell? Like the
no,
whole
well, that's the
purpose, the whole
point. The
reason
point
you're
is the
there is
point
because
is
you don't.
that no, but the point is that you can't consent to the authority of God. Like it's forced, right?
How can you
So
not
therefore,
consent?
no, what I mean is that in the parameters of how Christianity works, you can't not consent. There is, if you don't consent, you go to hell, which means that there is a coercion there, right?
Wait, then you just said if you don't consent, then you go to hell. So you can not consent. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, wait. So what I'm
You
saying,
cannot
right?
consent to God's love, and then when you experience His love, like it's just pain. You still don't you still don't consent. I don't know what you mean.
Right. So what I'm saying is, right, like let's
And
for
how does that
argument's
take
sake,
away liberty? Because I thought the argument was that it was taking away liberty.
because it does. Like, look,
How?
let's for the argument's sake, right, have the notion that like God exists, right?
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
God exists by definition.
you guys already believe that. So, but I'm just putting that
Yeah,
from
by
making a point
definition, He's
point,
the
right?
ultimate source
So,
of liberty if God exists. So therefore, when we go to heaven,
but that's a
we
contradiction.
are participating in His ultimate liberty
How?
because we
Okay, that's a
participate
contradiction.
in being God.
How can you have liberty, right? How can you have liberty when you have a like eternal hierarchy?
Same way a fish has liberty in the water.
Water doesn't. Water is not a conscious like entity
So you
that
think
that
just because somebody's
forces.
a person that all of a sudden takes away liberty?
Look, I mean,
What's the argument for that?
look, I mean, you were already talking from a point of view. I mean, I'm already talking from a point of view that's atheistic. So I already think, like, for example, states and politicians that people elect already put their will on themselves, and therefore we don't have true liberty, anyways. But what I'm talking about is that if you have a God that is your supreme master, your Lord, and you have to serve him, and you have to bow down to him, which is how this works, then you don't have liberty. You don't have any.
Can you just define liberty for me?
All right.
He has been voted off.
I'll let him get his definition, and then what's your definition of liberty?
All right. So liberty for me, I mean, it comes from a point of non-domination. So you have to be free from exploitation, free from oppression. You have to be free from harm from others,
okay,
and free from I already said domination. So yeah.
So
that was there.
if I have true liberty, am I liberated to dominate other people?
No.
Okay. Is there something stopping me from dominating those other people?
Yes.
What?
Social contract.
So then I don't have true liberty.
So social contract. So no, because the difference there of the social contract, right, is that consent that you have that you establish with a community. Now I'm saying this because there are people that will there are people right? Yes, that's the point. Like there are people that will disagree with me on this. There are, for example, egoists and so forth and so on that will say that no, individual liberty is what is most important. I wouldn't go that far because I don't see how society would then function. But within that, when you have a social contract, that means that you, along with everyone else around you, agree to certain norms.
But so you already agreed that you're more liberated under certain constraints that a will has given you.
It's not that you're more liberated. Is that the limits of your liberty are limits that you have agreed upon with other people in a consensual basis through consensus.
Right. So right? I have your true form of liberty, right, is to not be oppressed, because I also cannot oppress people. So there has to be some sort of will that gives me certain constraints to make sure that we can live out this liberty, right?
Right.
So there's a will of the people that give us constraints so we can live out this liberty. If that's the truth, then what is the issue with God's will giving us certain constraints to live out our true liberty?
Because we don't have a say in it.
So it's only true liberty if you get a vote?
Not even a vote. I'm not going to get into the semantics of.
Okay, so
even with his definition,
hold on. If this society that do the social contract, if they all vote that we have liberty, but we're gonna restrain certain other people, is it true libertarianism? If
you have a social contract which you have agreed upon in a community, right? Then yes, like it is as close to, true liberty in the sense of like true individualistic liberty, right? It comes with its own problems unless you literally live by yourself, right? Unless you live in the woods by yourself.
Can a human really be liberated living by themselves in the woods, considering that we're social creatures?
That's my point. My point is I'm not an individualist like anarchist. I'm a collective anarchist.
Okay.
Right. So in that sense, you need to have that social contract. But the difference is that within the social contract, you have that discussion and you have that consensus that you put together, right?
So your social contract oppresses you, though. It takes away your certain liberty. Let's say for example, I'm a person in this social contract that voted against certain ideals. I would be oppressed.
Right. Depends, because if what you're talking about is, for example, what modern liberal democracies have, of you vote someone in and they make laws and whatever, sure. If we're talking about having a collective of people that actually have long discussions until you have a full consensus of everyone that is there, then no, because everyone that has.
But do people often not come to a consensus?
Are you saying that
people very often will never come to an agreement on things. So if I'm part of this social contract and I don't agree with what people are voting on, I am now oppressed to live in your liberated community. But yet you would say this is a libertarian community.
Depends on the system that you have for those discussions and those collective consensus. Now that's a different discussion about actual systems of governance or systems of organizations.
Are you saying that's possible to have a system where everybody always agrees?
I'm saying that it's possible to have a system where everybody has their say, so therefore consensus doesn't drown out the voices of the minority.
Yes, but having a say does not mean that you're going to get the conclusion that you want, which means you're going to be oppressed.
Not if you've agreed to it in that sense, and not if you've had your say. The difference is, so
I mean,
you,
this
you do
seems
see the
like
difference. You
government.
do no,
Like,
no,
I thought
because
this
like
was.
the
I
government
thought
doesn't
you were
have this kind
anarchist.
of
Okay, but here's the thing. If
yeah,
you don't agree to it, then you just go out and live
yeah,
into the woods and you're going to live in despair because you're a social creature. So again, I'm trying to see the symmetry breaker between this and God.
right.
God knows what is best for us, has set limits on what is best and being more liberated. And if we have the
Okay,
option, hold on, let me finish. We have the
yeah,
option to
sorry.
be in relationship with that. We also have the option to walk away from that. But because our nature is not designed to be away from that, that's what causes our suffering. So I don't understand what the symmetry breaker is. It does seem like what Jordan's argument was, is that God is the most liberating, even based off your own standard.
No, see, like okay, let's put it this way, right? So you're talking about the walking away part, right? And like, look, you can. I mean, look, many people can walk away from religion. I did, right? So like, that's not something that from an atheist point of view you really care much about. You leave and that's it, right? But the point is that within
Okay, I'm going to stop you.
the
What is the symmetry breaker between the two?
between like the point in religion and the point of like walking out of society and living in the woods.
What is the difference between the libertarianism
Yeah.
that you get between the social contract and the libertarianism that you get through God
hmm
knowing?
hmm hmm
What is the difference?
Well, first, I don't think the God knowing bit that you're talking about, that's not libertarianism. That's not anarchism. There is
God
no
knows,
discussion of consensus there.
God knows what to give you that's going to give you the most possible freedom. Just like the social contract is trying to collectively get
No,
together to give you
yeah,
what is going to give you
but
the most possible freedom.
that's the part that I reject, right? So you're saying that God
hmm
knows, right? Right? But there are plenty of contradictions in that sense already, but it's
What's the
the point of saying
contradiction?
like, okay, you're saying God knows how to give us the best liberty, but at the same time, God says that we must like bow down to him. So that is not
If that wait,
that
hold on. If that
already,
gives us the
right?
most liberty, hold on. If that gives us the most liberty, is that statement false?
Okay, if a king says
Don't
bow
don't no,
down
don't
to
answer the
me and I
question
No,
with
no,
a
give
no.
you
Just it's
question.
just
liberty,
a yes or no.
no, that's not okay. So if
Okay, so
God
then it would
tells you I
still
will
be
give you the
true that
most
it would give us
liberty,
the most liberty.
no, sorry, if God is telling you that I will give you the most liberty, and then He tells you to bow down to Him, that is a
No,
contradiction. He is
that's
not
not
giving
a
you the most
Oh,
contradiction.
liberty.
But in the act of bowing down to God and worshiping God, you end up with more liberty.
That doesn't make sense.
it.
How do you end up with more liberty,
Because by
right?
Because
By
worshiping
you
having a
God, you
master.
worship
participate in God, who is by definition the most liberty you could possibly obtain. Like he is liberty in its very truest form. Hence why he had to be the one that gave us liberty.
Wait, can I just ask you? I'm going to ask you a quick question. I'm going to move on because you have been voted off and I've let you go a little longer. Is the commandment that you don't like about God the ding dong fallacy?
The ding dong fallacy.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to define the ding dong fallacy, man.
Like the only commandment that anybody ever seems to have an issue with against the Christian worldview is the fact that God tells you, what to do with your ding dong.
No.
Okay. I was just curious. Anyways, bro, I appreciate your time. God bless.
All right. Take care.
I still didn't find out what David did with all those foreskins.
And then he just left. And then he just left.
We need that clipped.
Oh, bro. Bro, he just come in and says that. The Random Angel, thank you so much for 5. Big John Steele gifted membership. Really appreciated. Daniel Clark sent another 5. Also appreciated. Thank you so much. Kevin Clark came in with $4.99, says, every sin God has shown us has a negative impact on this world. They aren't arbitrary rules. Xavier Roberts says, what happens if you don't agree with the consensus? That's what we were trying to figure out. Good question. Good question, my friend. Good question. All right, guys, what time do we got? We got time probably for one more conversation today. Can we give like W's for everybody who's come in? Everybody who's come in today has been very civil and very, very kind.
Very nice.
Good conversations. I've had no contentions with not a single person that came in today. I think everybody has been arguing and talking in good faith. Right.
We even got a Muslim to apologize.
We got a Muslim. So I haven't seen a single silly goose today. I got frustrated at one conversation because we were just going circular and I kind of like, thank God, and kicked them. I should have said goodbye. So I apologize for that, but you actually were arguing in good faith too. So W's in the chat for that. Let us move on to the next conversation. Let's go. But also notice these civil conversations, way less viewers. When we get spicy, we get a lot. Mac, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
In the middle of the night, it starts cooking up a roof. Bro, I'll tell you what, man, I'm part of the roof tank clan. Protect your neck.
Yeah, you got too much background noise there, bro.
All right, my bad. Yeah, I was waiting for a while.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, bro?
Good. How are you? And how old are you?
I'm 28.
All right, bro. There's no good reason to be an atheist. Prove me wrong. Go ahead.
Okay, so me personally, I'm not an atheist. So I have kind of two arguments, and I want to kind of reframe the argument a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just looking for disagreeers.
Okay, so I'd say that there is somewhat of a good reason to be
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to mess with. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, y'all. Doorbell. Go. Run, woman. Run. Get the door. Hurry. Faster. I don't see you sprinting. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill. I prefer coffee rules everything around me. Cream, get the coffee. Jabba bean, y'all. Why am I not getting any of these people come up? The queue is full, and now nothing's coming up. Ah, there we are. She got a package. I wonder what she got. I can hear her opening it. Better not be my package that she's opening. M, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How old are you?
I'm 25, 26.
All right, bro. There's no good reason to be an atheist. Prove me wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So basically, what I would say is that all the properties that we attribute to gods, at least the ones that the ones that I find convincing, can be attributed to the universe itself. For example, vastness and spacelessness, timelessness, omnipotence, and so forth, basically.
How can the universe be timeless and spaceless?
We just don't need God.
How can the universe be timeless and spaceless?
So basically, if you look at the universe, I would say it's eternal. Never had a beginning, never has an end, and it's vast. It doesn't have a boundary.
Yeah, but that's not timeless and spaceless.
So,
that just states that the universe didn't have a beginning.
Yeah, true, but I would say that I would argue that the universe is actually timeless, but the way it appears to us humans, the way we perceive it is as it being eternal. But I would say that time isn't like necessary.
What are you talking about? Right? Like, so hold on. Einstein's, I forget what the theory is, but Einstein's theory on this is that if it takes up space, it also has to operate within time. So if the universe is in space, like it's taking things in the universe are taking up space, it's operating in time. Like I'm very confused on what your argument is here.
Well, actually, according to Einstein, time is kind of like a fourth dimension. It's not necessarily a linear flow. It's just like
I agree. You can hold the B theory of time. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's completely irrelevant to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can hold to a B theory of time. That doesn't change anything what I just said. So, how is the universe timeless?
Yeah. So is the universe So the universe is not limited by time. That's simple.
So how does that make it timeless?
It exists like in.
What do you mean by timeless?
It's
Like,
not
just
limited
what is your
time, it's
definition of time?
independent well, what is your definition of timeless when you attribute it to God? It's just the same thing, I guess.
No, they're answering my question with a question. What's your definition of time?
Yeah, I would say the universe exists independently of time.
What is your
It's not
definition of
limited by
time?
Time is just an illusion that.
What is your definition of time?
I would say it's an illusion that.
What is it alluding to? What is the
It's a fourth
definition of
dimension.
time? What is the definition of what? Give me a definition. What is time?
Sure. It's just a dimension. It's the fourth dimension. It could be a, it's
Okay,
like
so
a
what is
line,
the fourth
basically.
dimension? You're just using a synonymous word. What is it? Give me descriptive traits.
I would say like I can't really define what a dimension is. It's just something that you accept axiomatically. It's like asking me to define a line or a point. I can't do it. It's just
I can define a line.
It's just something that is.
What are you talking about?
Okay. How can you define a line without it being circular?
It doesn't have to be circular. A line is a point and another point where they meet together, operating in a linear fashion.
But then what do you mean by meet together? I mean,
that they connect.
Yep, but in operating in a linear fashion, yep, connection, linearity, all this refers back to line,
No, those are the descriptive traits of a line.
Can't really define point.
Oh my God, you're a silly goose. The silliest goose I spoke to today. What do you mean when you say time?
Okay. I mean the same thing you mean when you refer to.
No, you're answering my
space,
question with a question. Just descriptive traits.
line.
Define.
You can
Give
go
me
back
the
and forth.
definition of time.
Yeah, I would say I can't define it. It's just an axiom. It's just something that you take.
You
as
can
is.
define axioms.
I can't do it. No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
Axioms are just something that you believe.
No, you
in,
can't
like,
explain axioms. You can't give
No,
the
it's
reason
just
why they're there. You
state-based.
can define them. So that means there's no explanation for things that are axioms. They're just evidentially true, but you can define them.
Oh, so you just mean like a description, like an explanation instead.
Yes, I'm asking for descriptive factors
I
of
can
what time
explain.
is. I'm not asking you to explain how
Yeah,
time
I
came
can
into
do that.
existence.
Yeah, I can do that.
Do it.
Yeah, sorry, I can do that. Sorry. So time. Yeah. So just describing time is basically, it's just what gives a meaning to cause and effect to us, to us humans. Like I don't really know.
Time
I
is
think
what
we
gives
both know
meanings
what
to
we're
humans. So
talking
my
about when we
wife
say
is time.
He has been voted off.
Oh, thank you, Lord.
said
You are
cause and
good.
effect. It
You are
gives,
good, Lord.
meaning
All
to
right.
cause
God
and
bless.
effect.
Have yourself a great day. God is good. God is good. Oh my God. What the heck did any of that even mean?
I guess we had time for two more.
All right, we do have time for me. No, what is time, Abby? What do you mean we have time for two more? What does that even mean? That's incoherent. You can't explain that. What was at the door?
Oh, it was just our food package.
Oh.
That was a very subtle compliment. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Oh my God, am I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the chat asked me for a name and then a password, and it sounds like you got my password.
Now we know your password to get into your bank. Appreciate it.
What's your name?
Horribly unimaginative. It is David.
All right, David. Sorry, how old are you again?
I'm 40.
All right, man. There's no good reason to be atheist. Prove me wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've been listening for like 3 hours, just stumbled upon you.
Thank you.
I think you're an awesome interlocutor. And I think you're a sincere one. Like, I've enjoyed the conversations. I think you're very good at having these discussions.
Thank you.
So, and you know, I always like to start this out with like being pretty clear on exactly what we're discussing. It sounds like we're talking about a triumvirate God.
Sorry, we're talking about a what God?
Triumvirate.
What do you mean by that?
Omniscient, omnibenevolent, omnipowerful.
No, I'm just talking about a being with with unbound power. A being with unbound power.
Okay, is this not a Christian God, or?
I am a Christian, right? But when I'm talking specifically about the word atheist, I'm just talking about proving to me or giving me a rational reason to say that there is no being with unbound power. It could be true that Christianity isn't the truth, right? But this unbound being still exists.
For sure, yeah. And I actually, you know, triumvirate is the, you know, the Jesus, God, and the Holy Spirit. I meant, you know, the tri-powerful.
Like triune.
Exactly. Sorry.
Yeah, I do think I do think there is an argument for like a triune God, but that's aside the point. I'm
right.
addressing.
Separate to what we're discussing today, for sure. Yeah. So everybody's brought up the distinction between atheism being an assertion that there's not reasonable evidence to believe in like the existence of a God.
Well, you said you've been listening for like 3 hours. Did you hear my arguments for against slack theism? Like, I don't want to repeat it if I have to.
I think we're going to have to, because it went into a lot of the distinction between atheism and agnosticism.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I heard, I don't believe that I agree with your distinction or lack of distinction between the two.
Okay, so what is categorically, and I used the word ontologically before, I was incorrect for saying this, but categorically, what is the difference between lack theism and agnosticism?
For sure, right? Because when we're talking about theism, we're talking about belief claims. And when we're talking about Gnosticism, we're talking about claims of knowledge, correct?
No, I don't think that theism is a belief claim.
Okay, yeah. I wonder where we'll reconcile this. I come from a point that being agnostic is generally universally reasonable.
I agree.
Right, because I don't know how much we need to like discuss that then, that like absent some common evidence that we can all point to and say like, well, yeah, there he is. Even for our standards of claiming what knowledge is, that we'd say like, yeah, no, for sure, we know that that exists. When we talk about like a belief claim, I'm wondering if we're trying to create like a dichotomy between like knowing and not knowing, as opposed to saying something like, I have a certain degree of confidence.
So I'm talking about like a rationality, right? When I use the word good reason, I'm talking about rationality, which again, we're talking about knowledge, and we're talking about like a justification of knowledge. You have belief, knowledge, and a justification. You've heard me talk about this before if you've been listening for a while. And so I think with theism, if you claim theism, you have to have all three of those three pillars. But I also think the antithesis, if you claim atheism, you also have to have all three of those pillars. If not, the only rational position to take is agnosticism.
For sure. I haven't heard this, at least in the discussion today, as far as like operating under a belief system, right? Like normally when I hear people try to say like, oh, we all have beliefs, you know, you believe that the sun will rise tomorrow, right? Like that is something that I think kind of misrepresents the point.
Well, I don't think that's analogous, because I think I have a justification for the sun rising tomorrow, and that's
no, that's totally
okay.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah. Where I think somebody would be like, I wish somebody had raised this earlier, was to say like, I operate under the pretense that fairies and trolls and Santa Claus don't exist.
Yeah, so you're like assuming a default, like you're, again, the null hypothesis, and I haven't heard a good argument why we need to take a null hypothesis. Hello? Hello? Hello, my lady. Hello, my darling. Hello, my
I waited far too long. Yeah.
Are you there?
Okay, and I also had you opening YouTube, so it's obviously just a conflict between whatever that API is and talking to you in the web caller.
Are we talking live?
I'm hoping we are now.
Okay, we're good now. Yeah.
My phone went
yeah.
to sleep.
Okay,
Yeah,
we're good.
sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah,
Like let's say we exist in a world where presents showed up at everybody's doorstep,
Mhm.
once a year, right? We would have more of an affirmative case to say that there needs to be something outside of, like a physical reason for this.
Well, let me so you're making an argument that like there's a null hypothesis that we just don't assume it's Santa Claus, but I don't agree with that because I have good explanatory power and scope saying that parents give out gifts rather than Santa Claus. And that has a better hypothesis than Santa Claus did it. So I have a reason
but that's only under the curtain, like that would be under the current like behavior that we're experiencing, right? Where Christmas tree, like we have an event. We put up a Christmas tree and people's parents pretend that they're Santa.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, absent that, if we had something metaphysical to point at, to say there's literally no explanation why everybody gets what they wanted, and only one thing they wanted once a year, and nobody seems to have bank statements, nobody seems to have
then you would have a
justify it.
reason to believe that Santa exists, as in a reference of a person that gives out gifts once a year based off people's behaviors and their desires.
Mhm.
So we
And I'm
have a
saying
justification
we
for
don't
that.
have that.
No, we
Like,
don't.
There's a metaphysical claim
Mhm.
in assuming that there's an all-powerful being. And I believe in a natural world. I believe there's evidence for a natural world in which there is no necessary all-powerful being.
Right, but hold on. Let's go back to the Santa analogy, right? Like, because I understand what you're saying, and you're saying we kind of default to the null. But again, in our universe, I don't default to the null. I have explanatory power and scope to reject the Santa Claus hypothesis. So I'm not just saying Santa Claus doesn't exist because I haven't been given evidence of Santa Claus. I'm saying I have different evidence that are contrary to the idea of Santa Claus.
Wait, what about the one-horned, like, bagpipe monster?
Okay, what is the one-horned bagpipe monster?
Well, I don't... Wait, have you not heard of him?
No.
You don't have the doctrine of the one-horned bagpipe monster?
Never heard of it. First time I've heard of it.
Well, that's exactly my point.
What's your point?
So the null
Did you make it up?
hypothesis is that he's not real. We
I
don't
didn't-
have to
I didn't
make
take
claims
that
about
position,
it.
did
we
I?
don't have... But
I asked
I'm
you what
sorry,
it was.
yeah. Or, like, just take it on its face that it's a one-horned bagpipe monster.
Okay, there's what is a one-horned bagpipe monster? If that's all you're saying,
Like-
I don't have enough to I even understand. So I'd have to say I don't know because I don't even know what your descriptive properties are or what I can point at or what I can look at.
Well, we don't even have to make it that. How about like a lamia?
A what?
A lamia. It's like a snake woman from...
Okay,
the word's failing me because I'm like Gilgamesh.
like Medusa?
It predates Medusa.
Okay,
Why can't I think of the word for Gilgamesh's Babylonian? Christ, thank you.
okay.
So, like, we don't take these positions against things that we don't have, like, these preconceived notions of or concepts of, right? We don't have to prove that they don't exist. We don't operate under any justification that they don't exist.
Well, I need to know what they're talking about when they're talking about a lamia. I need to understand context and all these things. So for example,
It's
so
literally
hold
like
on,
a woman who's also a snake.
But hold on, for example, in historical literature, there are unicorns have popped up in literature, but its reference wasn't our current understanding of a unicorn. So when we look at it, we say, oh, well, unicorns
like a
don't
rhino.
exist. Yeah, so it's like a rhino. So like if its reference is a rhino, then it's talking about something true and that's actually going on. So
No. That's confusing our definition of it, because when we're talking about a unicorn, we're not saying that somebody mistook a unicorn for a rhino. We're saying
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about a referent, right? The word in itself is irrelevant. It's what it's referencing. So if like this lamia is referencing something that they currently understood in their culture, then we'd have to say it's true. If it's referencing myth that's developed over time and we have explanatory power with myth, then I have a good reason to reject this lamia actually existing. I haven't looked at any of the data of this lamia. So at this current point, I'd have to say, I don't know what they're talking about or what's going on.
No, it's not satisfying because we're talking about a woman, like a human woman who is also a snake. And we're
Are they talking about
the
like, are they using metaphorical, allegorical language towards behavior? Or are they talking about she actually has the ontologies of snake-like properties?
Right, physical characteristics of a woman who has been combined morphologically with a snake.
Right. So again, I would have to look at the data to see where they're getting this from, why they're developing it, why it came into documentation before I come to any conclusions.
Sure. And what I'm
So
saying
I'd have to take the I
is
don't
the
know
argument
stance.
against something that is all powerful, acting outside of a physical world, and has like a metaphysical influence in our physical world.
Mm-hmm.
Like there would be an evidence of that.
You're not
substantiate
making an argument here because again, my stance towards your labia or whatever the heck it's called
It's everybody's labia.
is I don't know.
Uh-huh.
So
Well,
my
right, but then
position is
we're getting back to
agnosticism.
the difference between Gnosticism and atheism.
Right, but you're saying the null hypothesis is the standard. I'm disagreeing. You haven't given me an argument for that. What you're trying to do is you're trying to appeal to my intuition by saying, if I present to you this, what is your position on it? And my position is I don't know. So your appeal to intuition isn't working.
No. Hold on. Because we're also talking about prior knowledge and a world that acts in like a mechanistic way, right? Like you contended that we know that the sun will rise because we have mechanistic evidence of it like perpetually doing so.
Well, not even
And
that. I
absent
can
some
measure
outside-
the sun. I can measure gravitational pull. I know how the world operates. I know that the sun is just on the other side of the planet. And I know through gravitational pull, eventually it's just going to come back to our side of the planet. I have a whole bunch of scientific justifications
You're
for this.
using no right now as saying that these are the things that we have supreme evidence of in a way that it would be really kind of foolish to endeavor to like contradict. But these are things we're saying, like, we know this in the sense that, like, there's no guarantee the sun will rise.
But I'm saying I have a justification.
And I'm saying you have a justification
Yes.
to also reject that a woman-snake hybrid.
What's the justification?
Genetic data that we, like, descend from apes?
So genetic data that we descend from apes. Okay.
Correct. So we have common ancestry with apes. We have
And so,
a timeline.
so are you? You're
like,
claiming?
when these changes-
Hold on. You're claiming that we have a totality of all evolutionary genetic data.
And again, this goes back to this being the null hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
You would be foolish to say, like, no, obviously we can entertain some point where humans.
Right, but what I'm saying is, hold on. I'm just going to actually grant your. Hold on. Actually, I made a mistake. I'm going to grant your argument. So we have evolutionary data that goes against the idea of this woman snake. So therefore, we have a justification to reject it. It's not a null hypothesis.
So we're saying we have. Sorry, allow me to ruminate on this.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't explain to me, we're saying that I have no reason to believe that this lamia existed.
No, I'm saying you have contrary evidence to say that it existed because you know how humans have developed through evolution throughout time, right? And we've developed through ape-like creatures, which is contradictory to snake-like creatures. So you have a justification to reject this as being like likely. Now you couldn't say absolutely no, but you'd say it's very unlikely. So therefore I'm going to say it probably didn't happen.
No, well, this gets into the distinction between like whether or not somebody's guilty or not guilty, right?
No.
Yeah, because we're not saying that we're innocent of this. We're just saying like, I have no idea whether or not they're guilty. So we're saying in the case of the lamia, is to say like, well, I'm not convinced they existed.
That's not the reason you're saying I'm not convinced they existed. You're saying I have a justification. You're not just saying the default is no. You're saying I have data that contradicts that, so therefore I don't think it's reasonable to hold it.
Well, that's the difference in the claim then. So I'm willing to say, like, one, it's foolish to believe that lamia ever existed. I'm saying it's foolish to believe that, to make the affirmative case that they existed.
But again, the reason you're rejecting it is not because it's just snake woman. I don't believe in snake woman. Is because you have evolution that contradicts it.
No. So that was my prior case. I'm willing to rescind that.
What?
To say, like,
okay.
yes, it is foolish that the Lamia existed, because I think we can have contrary evolutionary evidence of that.
Okay.
But for somebody to assert that the Lamia existed ever,
then they would have to present evidence that destroys your contradictory evidence.
it would be to say that I don't believe that that thing existed. Or like, I don't believe there's enough evidence to assert that that thing existed.
Because you have evidence to the contrary.
No. And I'm rescinding that.
Okay, so you're saying you don't
So
have
it's
any
to say,
evidence
like,
now?
No. So we're saying if there's not the evidence to the affirmative, right? If somebody like at once wrote down Lamia in the ancient text, we don't get to then say, well, obviously the Lamia existed.
No, we would say, I don't know.
Exactly. No. We would not say we don't know. We would say that's not enough reason to believe it exists.
Which is, I don't know.
It's 4:00, my darling.
Are you good, or are we good?
I'm just saying, answer that real quick. Like, I gotta let you go, but like, I don't understand why I just can't say I don't know. If I have no evolutionary data, because you're saying I rescind that, I have no other data. I have this person who talks about this snake woman, right? All I could say at this point is I don't know.
I just realized it's a bait and switch though, because we're talking about belief and knowledge.
What?
You slid in Gnosticism when we're talking about theism.
My whole argument, the whole basis of the start of this argument is that there's no categorical difference between lack theism and Gnosticism. That's the argument we're having. I'm not sliding it in. That's what we're talking about.
Necessarily, I don't know how definitionally we can have a disagreement that belief and knowledge are different.
I have no clue what you're talking about, bro. I gotta move on. Appreciate you. God bless.
Yo, hey, while I got you,
Yeah.
is there any way for you guys to like institute a queue so people know where they're at in the line?
You're next.
No, in future. I like.
We can't see the queue either.
I can't see the queue either. I don't know who's next in line either. I had to put it in this way because I had too many people trolling me, and they would come up, and then I'd click them live, and then all of a sudden I get 30,000 N-words. But by doing it this way, it removes those trolls.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry about that, though. God bless.
No, I appreciate the discussion.
All right, folks. Well, at this point, I'd have to say there's no good reason to be atheist. None whatsoever. You could actually probably start doing timestamps now, even though we're still alive.
But if they're off, then I don't know.
If they're what?
If they're not, like, if they're off.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I like to be precise.
She's very precise with her timestamps. Big W's in the chat for Abby for being precise with the timestamps. Let's do testing the super chat. It works. You should. Well, I don't know, man. That I don't know if that one worked properly. Like the $2 works. You should try all of them. Try the $5, the $10, $20, $50. Like just try them all. See if they all work. We got to test every single one of them. That's good science right there.
Look at how many green people are in the chat.
What does that mean? Members.
They're members.
Yes. 2 questions. You may disprove conjecture. A, but couldn't you just not believe A if not supported? If A has one piece of evidence but thousands of arguments have been disproven, does it set a precedent? I don't understand the question. I'd have to think about it, and I don't have time right now. I apologize. So you may disprove conjecture, A, but couldn't you just not believe A if not supported? Again, if you're just talking about an individual's mental state, sure. Yeah, anybody can have an individual mental state. But I'm talking about like a rational justification that you'd present on paper for somebody to hold position. But if you're just talking, my mental state is I don't believe it, that's fine. That's your mental state. I can't argue against that. Daniel sent 5 Big John Steele memberships. Thank you. Appreciate you. Goated behavior for sure. All right, guys, we'll do a quick prayer and a plug, and then we're going to hang out on YouTube for about 5-10 more minutes. So if you have any questions, head over there at Big John Steele. Our Father is in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts as we also forgive our debtors, and lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. Lord, thank you for this day and these wonderful conversations, all blessings that you've given. Today has been some really fruitful conversations, Lord, and I think that you provided those. You provide is what's needed in different seasons, and maybe this is the season of those types of conversations. So thank you for that. I ask that everybody we've talked to today, that you draw them into the knowledge and the truth of who you are, so that they can be in relationship with you, because that is truly the most liberating thing that we can have, Lord. Thank you for Jordan also starting his thing. I don't know what we would call it. I don't like using the word ministry, but also coming back and debating these guys and showing the truth of who you are as well. And I ask that you just bless all the people who are doing this, right? Michael Jones, God Logic, Coley, Nick, myself, Jordan. I'm probably drawing blanks, but there's a whole plethora of us that are doing this, Lord, and that I just ask that you help us do this. And as well as the Christians that are listening, don't let them be armchair Christians, but instead let them use their gifts for the kingdom, whatever that might be. The gift of compassion, gift of generosity, gift of charity, gift of working, gift of love, the gift of debate, the gift of being a warrior. Everybody has gifts. Just help them use it for your kingdom. Lord, forgive us of our sins, be patient with us, and continue to give us grace. And if we're wrong, put us back on the right path. I ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Hallelujah. Andrew Wilson, I don't know if I qualify because he's doing political stuff. I'm talking more about this kind of stuff. More religious type debate stuff. King Sylph, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I gotta message him today. Talk to him about some future stuff. All right, guys, you know what to do. Support me on all platforms. YouTube. My main platforms are YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. Those are my three main guys. Or not Twitch. Twitter. YouTube, Twitter, X. And now X. Shut up. YouTube, X, and TikTok. Those are my three main platforms. So go follow me on those. If you want to support this channel, you can do so through PayPal at Big John Steele, or you could do so on Patreon, where we're offering daily Bible studies, exclusive content, which I'll be posting tonight. You guys will be getting exclusive video. You get access to the Hangout sessions if you miss those. Plus, you just get to help this channel grow. Or you can become a member on YouTube, and you get access to some of that as well. Also, the super chats help us go through your guys' support. We are able to do this. So I ask that you just pray about it and see that if God puts that on your heart to help this channel grow. We've also started a podcast where me and Abby just talk about our daily life situations. We do that on the weekend. We're going to switch it. We're doing it on Sundays. We're going to move it to Saturdays now. And we've got some gear coming for that to make it better for you guys. Hopefully, we've been having some technical problems, which is, by the way, the name of the podcast. So go check that out on YouTube as well. Our primary thing is the debates Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on here. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we either do hangout sessions where we just talk about culture and watch videos together, or we do raids where we go to other people's channels and we talk with them, where you get to watch me get muted 90% of the time and then just kicked. All that links are in the bio if you guys want to check it out. Outside of that, if you want to talk to me anymore, come on over to YouTube at Big John Steele. God bless everybody on TikTok, and we will see you all on Wednesday. What a day, ladies and gentlemen. What a day. Good day. John's the only one who got somebody mad at him today. Everything is backwards.
Backwards day. Everything
is backwards today. Now, I was the one having civil conversations.
And he did come in spicy.
He came in a little spicy today. I don't know. He's on vacation with the family. Must have got mad at each other. Kids probably being annoying today. Good stream, yeah, absolutely good stream. Y'all update your book because it's nutty now. New month, new mod fees. Thank you, Gabriel. Gabriel's been really holding us down as well, doing a lot of work to help this channel grow. Great channel. Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you for moving it. Sunday was during my mass nap. Yeah, we figured that too many people are going to church, going to mass on Sundays, and we'd be interfering with that, so we moved it to Saturday. And we're trying to get that better. We're having some issues right now where the computer keeps crashing. Mm-hmm. But we will see what's going on with that. No evidence for what? Humans having right. The Lewis law doesn't apply to Gentiles. That's true. It's true. Very true. Okay, got any stuff? Oh, also, make sure you guys are following us on Discord. Be part of that as well. I'm more involved in the Discord community than I ever been. So if you guys want to talk to me, that's the place to do it. Okay, I'm not seeing anything else. So I will say to you guys, God bless, and we will see you all next time.